The meeting of the Shreveport City Council has not been called to order. We will have a prayer by my good friend, the State Representative Sam Jenkins, if that's okay. And Councilwoman Lavette Fuller will lead us with the pledge.
Well, you never say no to an opportunity to pray. Representative Carmen and I were in here saying that it felt like old times down here at the City Council. Then when I saw Sammy Miller sitting on this front row, I knew it was old times. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. This is a day that you've made, and for that reason, we will rejoice and be glad in it. Father God, we lift up our mayor and his administration as they lead this city. We lift up our chairman and the members of this council, not only in the work that they do here, but bless them in their personal lives and in their personal pursuits. Father God, we lift up our lieutenant governor who's here today. Watch over him as he traveled the state, carrying out his duties, him and his staff. And Father God, we certainly lift up the citizens of the great city of Shreveport, whom we serve in some capacity one way or the other. We pray for their well-being, we pray for their security, and we certainly pray for their success. God bless this great city, and God bless this great state. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Place your right hand over your heart and recite the pledge with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Bradford.
Present.
Councilwoman Fuller.
Present.
Councilman Nicholson.
Present.
Councilman Bushy.
Here.
Councilman Flores.
Here.
Councilman Green.
Here.
And Councilman Bowles.
Here. Is there a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
minutes? Okay, those are the minutes from administrative conference on Monday, June 24th, and the meeting on Tuesday, June 25th. Been moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Bradford. Please vote. Motion carries. 7. Mayor Perkins, you have any awards? I'm sure you have some distinguished guests you'd like at this time.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. And before I invite my special guest up to come and speak, I'd just like to quickly recognize Representative Carmody and Representative Jenkins for being here with us today. I went to West Point with actually one of Representative Carmody's distant cousins, and Representative Jenkins has been helpful, extremely helpful to this administration and everything that we've done. He co-chaired our legislative delegation this year alongside Senator Gaddy from Bossier. So been a very, very good resource to us, and I appreciate you. So at this time, I just want to invite up my special guest, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. And inviting him up, I'd like to say this. We are always seeming to be fighting for our fair share from southern Louisiana and from Baton Rouge up here in the northern part of the state. But I can say that Lieutenant Governor Nungesser is always thinking about us here in Shreveport. He's had over 300 speaking engagements this year, half of which have been in northern Louisiana. So I appreciate you for the focus and attention you have on our community and our region, Lieutenant Governor. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for suspending the rules. I'm up here today speaking to the Business Council and actually going to visit with a local company that's doing some work in our state park. And I'm real proud this year. They have a record-breaking numbers in tourism, 9% increase, first time ever we saw a 9% increase. But I'm most proud of the numbers all over Louisiana. It's not just New Orleans. We started promoting all Louisiana before people land in New Orleans, but before they land in Dallas and Houston. They know about Shreveport, Ruston, Alexander, all over Louisiana. For the first time ever, last year we promoted Christmas and Mardi Gras all over Louisiana, and we're seeing people booking trips to come to North Louisiana before they make plans to come to Louisiana. And we're so proud to now have, this year, we will top 100,000 hotel rooms in Louisiana, and once again, that's not just New Orleans. So I'm proud of the team of people we've worked with across Louisiana to promote all Louisiana, and wanted to come today just to say, please call on me if there's anything we can do. I had a great meeting with the mayor to talk about some new ideas to expand our reach for some of the existing events here, and we are now promoting sporting events all over America. We are going to these events and bringing special events to Louisiana and fitting them in communities across Louisiana where they best fit. And a lot of those events are taking place in North Louisiana. So please call on me if I can help you. I'm here to support your community any way I can. And once again, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would the council like to address the lieutenant governor before he has to get out of here? You guys got any comments, questions for him? No?
I know that Levette, Councilwoman Fuller and I had lunch earlier. I didn't get a chance to really speak to him because Levette took the show as usual, but I wanted to speak to you there. So, Councilwoman Fuller.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Lieutenant Governor back. He's going to be my guest for the awards brunch for the film prize. It's going to be a good time in District B.
Thank y'all so much. Appreciate you.
Councilman Green, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. If they don't hold us too long, I'll be at the meeting with you at 5 o'clock. So would you, being Lieutenant, would you ask them to make this a short meeting?
Everyone don't ask to speak whenever you There we go. God bless y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Today we also have Miss Lisa Kreisman with the Nature Conservancy in Louisiana here with us. She was instrumental in facilitating the lease of C. Bickham-Dixon Park, and she's working with city staff on a project that involves using TNC freshwater assessment tool to develop a preliminary assessment of Cross Lake watershed and strategies to help ensure the long-term, high-quality drinking water for our citizens. Ms. Kreisman, would you like to come and say a few words? You okay? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for what you do. I would like to call up Chief Raymond at this time to help us recognize Corporal Sabrina Dallas. We're recognizing her for her efforts in responding to and attempting life-saving procedures on Mr. Antonio Williams. I understand Sergeant Clanton was also involved and wanted to attend, but is sick today and unable to be here with us. So I'll let Chief Raymond.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to read this recommendation. Commendation came from Deborah Kelly, who's one of our volunteer pastors on patrol. I think she does a good job of summarizing the events we want to recognize today. She said, "Dear Chief Raymond, I want to take a moment to recognize two members of the Shreveport Police Department for their heroic efforts on Saturday, June 22nd. Sergeants Letha Clanton and Corporal Sabrina Dallas were commended by Captain Joey Presley and several other members of the Shreveport Fire Department, both on scene and on social media, for their efforts in trying to save the life of United States Postal Service employee Antonio Williams after he was shot on Dudley Street. Unfortunately, as you know, Mr. Williams did not survive his injuries and passed away shortly after arriving at Ochsner's Health. When Sergeant Clanton and Corporal Dallas arrived on scene, they did not hesitate for a moment in their actions to try to save Mr. Williams. They performed high-quality CPR, rescue breathing, and continued their efforts until they were relieved by the Shreveport Fire Department, all while maintaining a secure scene. Providing care to the injured without regard for personal safety is sometimes what we do as first responders. However, these ladies went above and beyond their normal call for duty, and personally, I believe Sergeant Clanton and Corporal Dallas should be recognized and commended for their actions. And again, Sergeant Clanton was unable to join us today, but Corporal Dallas is a 9-year veteran of the police department. She works in the Area 2 Patrol Division, and we're very proud and glad to recognize her efforts today. Thank you.
Corporal Dallas' story is one that pretty much exemplifies that our police officers aren't just out there crime fighting every day, but they're also out there literally saving lives. So, again, just thank you for what you do. Keep it up and encourage your peers to continue doing the same. I would like to recognize Miss Lindsay Green, the daughter of Mr. Terrence Green, and the owner of Sweet Tresses 2. Her company has gained national recognition recently with her product being sold not only in Shreveport, but in Los Angeles and other cities throughout the country. I just want to let her know how proud we are of her and her business, and that how it helps put Shreveport on the map. Ms. Green, please stand, and well, you're already standing. Would you like to share any words with us at all? Or?
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm happy to be a resident of Shreveport, happy to be able to put us in the spotlight in a different way, using my generation, my age group. I'm just happy to be a resident. Glad to be honored. Thank you.
Would you like to tell the audience about the product so that you can get some more customers?
Yeah. Well, the name of my company is Sweet Traces 2 LLC. It's based here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we're located in all of the chain Dollar Mania supply stores. So you can find us there. My main product is a edge control, and it's called Sweet Slay Edges. My secondary product is a hair growth oil. For those who don't have any edges, it's called Sweet Serenity Hair Growth Oil. So we can grow the hair and then sleek the hair down. And that's what we got.
Are you offering any free products to our chairman? He just
You know what? I am. If y'all want some, just let me know. We on Facebook at Sweet Traces 2 LLC, and my website is www.sweettraces2.com.
Awesome. And all seriously, thank you so much. We are so proud of you, and keep up the good work. We're
Thank
cheering you
you.
on. Okay.
I think she just got 3 customers up here.
Might be 4.
It's not myself.
See if you got any in their car.
Does Mr. Green use it? Mr. Terrence Green, does he use that?
He got a full head.
Look at his edges. He got
All right, and Mr. Chairman, on my last note, I wanted to recognize Mr. Cade Davis, Captain Shreve graduate, my alma mater, who was unable to attend as my guest today, but he is a finalist and the only person from Louisiana to still be in the running for a college investors scholarship called the Side Hustle Scholarship. The scholarship rewards those who have found a way to financially help out their families by working in a side hustle job while in high school. Like most kids, Cade started thinking about getting a car in the 7th grade, but he didn't have the money, so he started with 20 flyers advertising his newly formed yard business. Cade now has 74 yards that he's responsible for. Although he has made it to the finalist stage, the last leg of the competition is a social media contest. So check out his link at https://thecollegeinvestor.com. 24531 mowing lawns and more. On the Facebook page, you can just go on the mayor's Facebook page and find this, and let's help him win that scholarship. So that's my last comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor Perkins. If we have any council members, first I wanted to recognize Representative Sam Jenkins and Representative Carmody. You want to come up real quick, please?
Good afternoon. How are you all, Mr. Chairman,
Nice, sir.
council members? Just wanted to come down today, and I was mentioning it to Sam that it is kind of like old timers day here. This council chambers, and I'd asked Sam, I said, you did 8 years, right? And he said, well, yeah, 4 on the commission and then 4 on the council. Well, that being said, when I was getting ready to come down here today, I saw a former state senator who lives in my district, and he said, Carmody, you're back from the circus. What did you see? Well, I've seen a lot in this room, and I've seen a lot in Baton Rouge, but the person that I wanted to commend today, and y'all bear with me for just a moment, is Arthur Thompson, because God knows he has seen a circus. Right. Okay? And Arthur, I know that, Margaret would not have missed this for the world had she known that we were going to do this, but I'm sure she's somewhere enjoying herself. But can I read this to you just so that we can finish our business and I'll depart?
Chairman runs the meeting.
It just looked like I run it. He runs the show, but go ahead, sir.
This is a resolution by Representatives Carmody, Glover, and Jenkins. And this commends Arthur Thompson on receipt of the Shreveport Bar Association's Liberty Bell Award. To commend Arthur G. Thompson upon his receipt of the Liberty Bell Award from the Shreveport Bar Association, and whereas a Liberty Bell Award was established more than 40 years ago to acknowledge outstanding community service, it is presented to individuals or to organizations that promote better understanding of the rule of law, encourage greater respect for the law and the courts, and stimulate a sense of civic responsibility or to contribute to good government in the community. And whereas on May 1st, 2019, Arthur Thompson was aptly awarded the Liberty Bell Award by the Shreveport Bar Association, and whereas since 1985, Arthur, seriously, it's been that long.
It's been that long.
How's the circus?
It's been all pleasure.
Oh, it's been all pleasure. I love it. All right. Well, whereas since 1985, Arthur Thompson has held the elected position of the city of Shreveport's clerk of the council, having been elected by 9 different city councils and 43 council members. That's pretty impressive, Arthur. Whereas Arthur earned his bachelor's and Juris Doctorate degrees from Southern University in Baton Rouge, he was a captain of the U.S. Army Judge Advocate General Corps for 4 years and served as a special court-martial judge during his final year of military service. And whereas Arthur Thompson has served on the Biomedical Research Foundation Board of Directors since 2005, in 2018, having become the chairman of the board. And whereas ever active in the community, he's also served. How did you have the time to do all this, Arthur? He had also served on the Caddo Parish School Board, the Metropolitan Planning Commission of Shreveport and Caddo Parish, and in leadership positions on board at the Providence House and Strategic Action Council. And whereas Arthur is supported by his loving wife, Margaret, and is a proud father of Brian and Dion, and grandfather of Phineas. I love the name Phineas. Therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives of the Louisiana Legislature does hereby commend Arthur G. Thompson for having received the Liberty Bell Award from the Shreveport Bar Association, and does hereby recognize and for record for posterity his demonstrated respect for the law through his service to the community, and does hereby wish him every measure of success and happiness in all his future endeavors. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. That one will look good. This is suitable for framing. Get a wall, it sounds good.
Thanks.
Bless you all. Thank you all.
You got the picture, Jackie? I want to make sure Ms. Marvin get that picture now, too. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. This way. I'm sorry.
You have to smile.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really good job, Cam. Keep it up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bless y'all.
No, thank you. I almost spilled the beans on that. Councilwoman Fuller.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to request that we suspend the rules so that we can address resolution number 84.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Fuller and second by
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend that and we address resolution 83 as well.
moved by Councilman Bradford.
Suspend the rules to address 83 and 84. Second.
To suspend the rules 83 and 84. And second by Councilman Nicholson. There's no discussion on that. Please vote. Motion carries with 7. Councilwoman Fuller.
Thank you. My request today is so that we can recognize Mr. Lucius Harris, the late Mr. Lucius Harris. And I'm going to ask now for Ms. Reba Mitchell Harris and Mr. Charles Henderson to come forward, please. And then after everyone finishes signing our resolution, I want to give it to them, and I'd like to ask for Mr. Thompson to read it aloud.
Ready? This is a resolution to recognize Lucius Harris II and to dedicate the 1800 block of Michelle Street in his memory for his commitment and contributions to the city of Shreveport by Councilwoman Levette Fuller. Whereas Lucius Harris II passed away on May the 3rd, 2019, and whereas the city of Shreveport pauses to reflect upon the life of Lucius Harris II for his long and productive life in the service of his family, his community, his church, and his country, and whereas Lucius Harris II served for over 25 years in the United States Army and Air Force Reserve, and whereas Lucius Harris was an employee of Good Battery for over 20 years, where he served as president of the UAW Local Number 532 and helped to establish the company's credit union, And whereas Lucius Harris II also started Lucius Harris Trucking, Inc., a successful licensed and bonded freight shipping and trucking company located at 1823 Michelle Street. And whereas Lucius Harris served on many boards, including the board of directors for the first black-owned bank in Shreveport, Security National Bank. He served as chairman of the Union Masonic Board, Inc., and he served as deacon, elder, and chairman of the trustee board of Hollywood Presbyterian Church. And whereas as a community leader, Lucius Harris helped to send disadvantaged boys to various summer camps, and he participated in the Sickle Cell Disease Association, Inc. of Northwest Louisiana Can Shake Drives. And whereas Lucius Harris II leaves a legacy of hard work and dedication to his three daughters, Vansida, Latanya, and Reba. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the Shreveport City Council recognizes Lucius Harris II for his many contributions to the City of Shreveport. Be it further resolved that the mayor, on behalf of the city, is authorized to dedicate the 1800 block of Michelle Street in honor of Lucius Harris II. This resolution has been signed by all city council members.
Councilman Bradford?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think I'm going to allow the council lady to move for the adoption of 84, then we'll move to 83.
So moved.
A second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Fuller and second by Councilman Bradford. Please vote. 83. Motion carries with 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to Resolution 83, I really feel compelled to recognize this young man because he came up with an idea back in the spring, and he worked and he worked and he dedicated his time and his energy and some money to make this happen. He wanted to do something for Father's Day and recognize not only fathers and sons, but others as well. So on June the 8th, Mr. Alex T. Ray organized and coordinated, along with other volunteers, the first inaugural Father's Day 5K run and walk. Several of us participated, including the mayor. It was an outstanding event. Included in that was some other honorariums that was presented. So at this time, I asked the council clerk to read the resolution, and it would explain some of the efforts of Mr. Ray.
A resolution to recognize Alex T. Ray for Shreveport's first inaugural Father's Day 5K Run and Walk 2019, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto, by Councilman Willie Bradford. Whereas on June 8, 2019, Alex T. Ray and Oasis Outreach hosted Shreveport's first inaugural Father's Day 5K Run and Walk 2019 at the Louisiana State Fairgrounds. And whereas the purpose of the event was to bring healing to the city and to highlight fathers and the role they play in the community by having them participate in a 5K run and walk with their kids, and afterwards enjoy a day of fun activities with their family. And whereas over 500 people from different communities, churches, and schools, including politicians, came together in unity to support the event. And whereas this event changed lives and gave hope to 2 single fathers by presenting each of them with a check in the amount of $500 and other assistance to help improve their living condition and to provide funds for legal issues. And whereas Alex T. Ray plans to have inaugural Father's Day 5K run and walk event every year, and he is looking to create more impactful events for the city of Shreveport. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the City Council recognizes Alex T. Ray for Shreveport's first inaugural Father's Day 5K Run and Walk 2019 and the great impact it had on the community. Be it further resolved that if any provision or item of this resolution or the application thereof is held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions, items, or applications of this resolution which can be given effect without the invalid provisions, items, or applications
And to this end, the provisions of this resolution are hereby declared severable.
Mr. Chairman, I move with commendations to adopt Resolution 83 in honor of Mr. Ray.
Moved by Councilman Bradford and second by Councilman Green. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion carries with
Mr. Ray
7.
come forward. I want to
Mr. Ray will come forward. And while he's doing that, I recognize another local official, president of the commission, I think, Stormy Gage Watts. Just want to recognize you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, this gentleman not only talked about it, he was about it. So thank you, sir, and congratulations, and I'm happy to present you with this and for your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. A few words, if you please.
Well, it's such an honor to be here today. Before I get started, can I get everybody in the room just to say with me together, Shreveport? You ready? 1, 2, 3. Shreveport! Let's do it again. Let's show some love. 1, 2, 3. Shreveport! I love my city, y'all. Let's just make a hand clap for our city. I love Shreveport. I was born and raised here in this city. And I just wanted to bring something here to our city, just to bring an impact. And I just want to thank everybody that came out to support. This is not just the end of it. It's going to be more that I would like to bring here to my city, Shreveport, to keep the impact here, to keep the involvement going with our city so we can come together to bring an impact. So I'm just glad to be here, and I just want to thank everybody here for the support. And then I just want to continue in bringing the impact to our city. So thank you, Willie Bradford, for allowing me to come here and present this to me. I want to thank the mayor for being there to support me. And I just want to thank everybody that came out to support. So I just want to thank you all.
Okay. I think Councilwoman Fuller had a word.
Oh, not for him. I just
Okay.
wanted to know if my guests
After the
wanted to make
time,
a
yes,
remark.
I'm got you on next. I'm sorry.
Or can I, now?
Wait a second. You want to do
Get another picture? I did. Okay. Oh, he won't want this camera now.
Councilwoman
I want you
Fuller.
to know that
Seriously?
I came in next to last. Councilman Flurry came in last.
And I want to thank Stormy Watts. Is she here? Did she stand up for a minute, Stormy? I want to thank you for being support, for being able to help me support this man and everybody. She was a big help. And you come up here, I want to take a picture with you as well, Stormy. I just want to show honor to which others do, and I just want to thank everybody as well. Mayor, can I get a picture with you as well? Because I just want to show it. I couldn't do it without them. Thank
Why
you
they
so
doing
much.
that?
While y'all are doing that,
And Councilwoman Fuller.
I didn't mean for this to get stepped on, but I did want to offer an opportunity for Ms. Harris and Mr. Henderson to make remarks. Did you want to do that? You can come back up, and when they're done snapping pictures, I would love for you to as my guest, make remarks.
They should take, but
No, I like y'all don't like taking pictures.
That's Alex, y'all. Thank you again.
Mr. Henderson.
Mr. Henderson, Ms. Harris, would
Ms.
you like
Harris.
to make remarks? I received the call from Mr. Henderson about his neighbor, and it was so heartfelt, and it seemed like a good thing to be able to make this commemoration, but I didn't want you to not have an opportunity to speak.
Well, thank you so much. On behalf of myself, Reba Harris Mitchell, and my family, I certainly appreciate your support, and just thank you so much, you and those who helped participate to get this going.
Thank you.
And I just want to say to Councilwoman Fuller and to the Chairman Bowman that I appreciate the work you've done. And like I say, I called her within the next 2 or 3 minutes, and tell them both, they called me back and got the process started. I just want to let you know I appreciate that. And the man that you honor, I know you didn't know him, but he was the man.
Well, I think that you're wanting this to happen is it really does resound with love thy neighbor. And he must have been a good neighbor to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I spoke to Mr. Henderson, and then I only felt right if Councilwoman, since it was her district, I felt right that she took over that. So, Councilman Fleury.
Councilman Brady, would you like to go?
Well, I was waiting for Garland Jones. I see Lenny is here. I'm not
Okay.
sure if Garland has made it yet. So I'll yield until
Mr. Chairman,
Garland
at this
gets here.
time, I'd like to ask to recognize and come up United Way in regards to Bank on Shreveport. Is that okay to do that at this time? Is Miss Bonnie Moore here? Ms. Moore, would you please come forward also? Yesterday, we talked about helping those that are challenged by predatory lenders. And so I bring to you, and I spoke about some things done in the previous administration. And Ms. Moore and Mr. Thompson have brought to my attention Bank on Shreveport. So I'd like to give these folks an opportunity to speak with the council in regards to that, if it's okay. Go ahead.
Council, well, thank you for the opportunity to come before you. Mayor, thank you. Councilman Bowman, we thank you. My name is Bruce Wilson, and I am the President, Chief Executive Officer of United Way. We fight to improve the lives of the people of the parishes we serve, and specifically Caddo right here. One of the areas we have identified as a primary focus area is the area of financial stability. 4 years ago, Ms. Bonnie Moore came to me and said, Bruce, we have a program here in the city that we want to see continue, and we would ask that you would take this program on and that you would steward it and see it through. And I'm going to give you someone who is going to help this program and make it go to the next level. And that is our Vice President now of Financial Stability, Ms. Rashida Dawson, and she's going to describe Bank On a little more after Ms. Moore speaks.
Good afternoon. Back in 2012, we recognized that many of our citizens were victims of predatory lending, that they were being preyed on by check cashing places, payday lenders, and other services that were of high cost to them. They were using those agencies to meet their basic needs, just utilities, food, rent, all the things that are necessary for us to live. We recognized that there was an increasing problem in our community, and we had to do something about it. We found this program through the FDIC called Bank On Shreveport. It was under the Glover administration. We brought the program to Shreveport, and there were astounding results as a result of it. In our first year, we almost opened what we call second chance accounts for almost 2,000 residents. We recognized that the data was alarming, that 37% of our residents were victims of this. 50% were African Americans, 47% were Hispanic, and 20% were white. We reached out to a number of institutions in our community to form a collaborative to address this need. Again, the project was exceeded Mayor Glover's and our expectations. We were faced with some financial crisis because of congressional cuts on a national level. We were faced with losing the program. It had been identified as a prevailing need in our community, and we did not want to lose the program. Additionally, we were working with 13 different lenders that had markets outside of Shreveport. Our funding could only support Shreveport, and that's when we approached the United Way to ask them if they would manage the program. It was so important for us to keep this program and to help fund this program because many of those citizens were getting interest rate at 300%. It was a spiraling financial problem out of control in our community. This was not just happening in our community. It was happening all across the country. We worked really well with foundations and other institutions across the country to grow this program. And I can say today that this program would not be here today if it was not for two dynamic young ladies, Ebony Mapp and Rashida Dawson. They did an astounding job making this work for our community. And I would love to introduce to you, I think, the lady that's at the helm of this then and that's still at the helm of it now, Rashida Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Moore. Thank you, Bruce, for introducing me. As far as with Bank On, I spoke before briefly about what this program is, and I think that Mrs. Moore has definitely explained some of what we do. But a big part of our programs is because we wanted to be able to afford the opportunity for safe and affordable financial products. That meant that we had to bring a whole bunch of community leaders to the table. That included 13 banks and credit unions. That included the FDIC, the NCUA, the OCC, the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, who does our data collection and reporting, vast number of nonprofit organizations like United Way and Hope Connections. We wanted to be able to bring these resources together. One of the ways that we wanted to do that, Mrs. Moore did mention about we wanted to help the unbanked and the underbanked. And we knew that over a third of our population just in Shreveport of households were considered as unbanked and underbanked. And unbanked, of course, is when you don't have a bank account, but underbanked is when you are still using check cashers, payday lenders, and pawn shops and organizations of that such. And give you an idea, in 1 year, a citizen, if they were to go to these places, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if they go to these places, they can spend up to $1,000 each year on these fees, check cashing fees, money orders, and then also over the course of a lifetime, they can spend up to $40,000. As far as payday lending in the state of Louisiana, on a 2-week $100 payday loan, legally 780% APR can be charged to a payday loan on a 2-week $100 payday loan. As far as with our program, with our extensive partnerships, we wanted to be able to figure out how we can be able to raise awareness inside of our community so they can be financially stable. And in doing that, not only did we have the bank accounts, but we also went inside of the communities with our bank and credit union partners and actually be able to have different outreaches. And these are strategic outreaches. So we go to the same places on the same at the same times of every month to make sure we are being consistent to our citizens of our community. And then also, when it comes to financial education, we want to be able to connect them to free financial counseling, which is big for us. And to give you an idea of what our program has done, since we started in 2013, our 3-year goal was to actually be able to convert 20% of Shreveport's unbanked population to account holders. And this was about 2,700 people that we wanted to target. However, by the end of 2016, we were able to bank over 3,400 residents just in the Shreveport-Bossier area. And on top of that, to date, we have been able to bank, to this date, over 4,539 individuals as of the first quarter of this year. To give you guys an idea of what it takes to be able to do this work, it takes a lot of boots on the ground, a lot of outreach, and a lot of support through our partners. And to give you an idea, I am at every single workshop, presentation, and outreach. And to give you an idea, just in the past 2 years, I did over 150 outreaches and workshops. That's not including presentations. So to give you an idea of what we've been able to do, we looked at the data, and before, unbanked and underbanked, it was about 37% when we first started this project. And now the statistics have actually gone down, not by much, but it went down by 4%. Which we can say that is incredible. We don't want to say that it's all of Bank On, but we can say that we have been a significant part in bringing those numbers down. So what can you do to get involved with our organization and with our partnership. We want you to become advocates and a champion of this program. And we also would love for you to come attend an outreach and workshop with us. It's one thing for me to actually sit up here and explain to you a program, but it's another thing for you all to come out and actually see it. And you'll see where the citizens and the residents will say thank you so much for bringing this program to this community and coming to see us. And then also, just partner with us. And also, we need funding as well, because guess what? It's one person, 1.5, if you include Ms. Florence over there as well, who works on this particular project. So if you have any questions, I'm free to answer.
Mr. Chair, first of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Fleury for bringing this presentation before us today. And basically, this is more than putting moratoriums or more than anything. I'd like to partner with you all on my radio show, because there are so many people that don't know about this. And if they only knew that they had an alternative, more than shutting a business down, this is how you shut a business down. One is give them an alternative. And I like one of your cards. I'd like to start next Monday on my radio show, and I'd just like to give people information to let them know that they have an option, because as of today, I didn't know that this was so powerful. But starting Monday, my show comes on from 3:30 until 5 on KOK, FM and AM. And so I'd like to get with you after the meeting, get a card, and we'll just go from there, and just count me in as a partner.
We'll be more than happy.
I don't have any. I got 10 grandchildren, so I don't have any money, but I can get you on radio. I can get you on radio. So.
I appreciate that, Councilman Graham, because
Yes,
your influence alone is enough to help
Yes,
to
ma'am.
get the word
I'm
out.
in. Thank you, Councilman Fleury.
Thank you. Sorry, I had Councilman Fleury that I erased off the board, and then Councilman Bradford.
Sure.
I want to bring my glasses.
Okay. Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I should have known and been aware of this program. Councilman Florian yesterday kept asking me and asking the council, is this program still in existence here? And I could not remember, because the progression of these predatory lending institutions have somehow got a grip on us. I mean, on Shreveport, especially our poor and less fortunate. I'm not clear, but I don't want to take up a whole lot of time on how you target those and how those individuals that are the victims of such practices are brought into the program. The discussion that we're going to be having later on is about placing a moratorium on some of these institutions and stop them from, put a year non applications. But I think James Carson said yesterday on his Facebook page, he said that the problem, and I agree with him, the problem is not the supply. The problem is the demand for these services, and that if this service could serve as a true alternative to these predatory lending institutions, we need to expand it and bring more resources to the table, because that's my concern. My concern is that there are too many that are continuing to engage these lending institutions, these pawn shops, and they don't feel like there's no option, there's no other alternative but to go there. So I want to invite you and Ms. Moore into a situation where we can be more transparent to the community on how they can engage it, how they can become bankers, account holders, and to lessen these outlets to be flourishing in our community.
Yes, and one way that we're also going to be able to expand this and be able to bring more awareness. Of course, we know that Bank On is not it's not going to fix everything,
Sure.
but this is a coalition that will work with the banks for alternative financial services based off of national account standards. But then also we are in collaboration with United Way and the city of Shreveport. We're going to be launching the Financial Empowerment Center, and hopefully we'll be able to expand different financial empowerment center hubs inside of the community, which will provide free one-on-one financial professional counseling for any and all citizens of Shreveport. And they can come as many times as they want, free of charge. And it's not to take any type of business from anyone else. What we want to do is create an equal opportunity for all of our residents to have access to know about the dangers of predatory lending and be able to know that there are alternatives. They may have messed up their accounts in the past, and that they can actually be able to build relationships with banks and credit unions.
And I just wanted to add that the mayor has been the champion behind the Financial Empowerment Center, and he will be announcing that really soon.
So there's no physical location.
Our location will be at 820 Jordan Street as of right now for the first Financial Empowerment Center.
Okay.
And we wanted to do that because that's in a very in an area where everyone can be accessible to it, and not far from the bus route. We want to be able to have that, and it has plenty of parking, which is great for us.
Again, I look forward to furthering this conversation because I might want to bring it into my area, but I also want the whole city to benefit from such great service. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, I'll yield to Councilwoman Fuller.
Councilwoman Fuller.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilman. It's just, I'm going to put some sunlight on all the shade we just got. But when Councilman Nicholson and I first started talking about this, he said, is there someone that we could bring in to speak about some of the hardships and some of the solutions to deal with predatory lending? And I said, give me a minute to think. And a few minutes later, I was like, yeah, United Way with Rashida. And so I'm glad that Councilman Flory is thinking on the same lines that we are, because this is the second time in 6 months that you've come and given us this presentation. I just know that sometimes we have short memories. But I really appreciate the work you do, and I've seen the outreach that you do, and I appreciate how often you're out in the community trying to get the word out about what you're all doing with the great work that you're doing. And I also appreciate that you understand by placing placing the venue on a bus route that one of the major issues with predatory lenders is their proximity to the people who are in need when they can't actually get close to a bank.
Right.
So thank you for actually bringing up that part of it, because it is geographical and it's tied back to land use. And thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilman Nicholson.
I did want to add one little thing
Please.
to that. Another thing when it comes to our partners, we do try to open up accounts on site when we're actually doing outreaches and workshops. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I'll add my thanks to Councilwoman Fullers for your presence and for the important work you do for our community. I thought I heard one of you say that some of these predatory lending shops charge people 780% APR for 2-week loans. Is that what you said?
Basically, for a 2-week $100 payday loan, legally, the state of Louisiana can charge up to 780% APR for one of those $201 payday loans.
I understand that you offer a very valuable alternative to predatory lenders who take advantage of poor and disadvantaged people in such an astonishing way. Don't you think it would be a good thing if we regulated predatory lenders and perhaps cut back on the degree to which they can abuse our citizens in the way that they do?
Anything to lessen poverty and to help those who are considered as our allies individuals, so we can keep more money inside of our citizen pockets and be able to have a better access of life. I feel like it should be done, and that's completely up to you guys. We are here to provide the resources and be able to help with the strategies.
Okay.
Well done. You're not on trial.
Hey, bring it at me.
All right, Councilman Green.
Mine is on another.
Okay. Councilman Fleur.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the mayor at this time to give us a statement of what.
Yeah, so Councilman Fleury, thank you. I'd just like to reiterate that thank you for discovering this for us in your research and really bringing them up to highlight the services, the valuable services that you provide to our community. over the last couple of months, there's actually been a lot of articles written about the banking deserts in Shreveport, the unbanked, the underbanked, and a lot of those articles is actually the neighborhood that I grew up in Cedar Grove. And I grew up in a family that didn't have much, and I got my parents, close family members that were often prey to the predatory lending. So this means a great deal for me to see the services that you provide, and for me to be working on it so diligently with Bonnie Moore, with United Way, and continuing to do some things behind the scenes. Sometimes people think everything that this administration does makes the news cycle, but there is hard-working city employees every day that's doing this and aggressively getting after the problems of our city. So we'll be making some announcements about the Financial Empowerment Center, but we'll also be making some announcements. We're looking to do a partnership with MasterCard and some other financial entities to help out and provide resources in areas that need them the most. So thank you for what you do. And again, thank you, Councilman, for bringing this to light today. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming today to enlighten Ms. Moore. Thank you for this great work, and I hope that we see this program, Bank on Shreveport. Is that correct? Bank on
Northwest Louisiana now. We have expanded to 5 parishes fully.
Good. Thank you.
And Councilman Green.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have a twofold. I'm going to ask for a suspending of the rule, but I'd like to bring Mr. Lester Smith up. He's going to tell us about something that's about to happen next week. And while he's coming, I'd like to recognize Miss Betty Jackson, my baby sister Cora Savannah, and my niece. Raise your hand, Cora, so you won't tell the folk at church that I didn't recognize you. And my niece. And Mr. Lester Smith, he works harder than any elected official as to providing service and help in the community. And Lester, I just want to take this time to thank you for all that you do. And really, you really helped me, and I just thank you. And so he has an event that's coming up, and I just need you to talk about it. I want to play, but every time I get involved in something, I break something.
Okay.
So
Join me on the sideline.
all right.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor. My name is Lester Smith. I live at 4148 Theo Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. We have been working for some time, Michael Williams and myself, as to try to find an alternative for the violence in our community, but also where the police violence is concerned. And we've come to the conclusion that in our community we need to form a relationship with the police department, and the police department should have a relationship with us. So we've started this thing called, it's a softball game, preachers, people, and the police playing softball out at the airport park. This is our first initiative with this. We're going to try to go community by community with this to try to get the people to interact with the police officers and police officers interacting with the citizen. Because we find that we scream when things happen, and especially killings. And I could go a step further and say, but we have misguided blame. Because I think right now, if anything we should be screaming about as a people is the crime rate where black men are killing black men. That's what we need to be screaming about. And but we sit, it's like that's okay as long as it's black on black. But I beg to differ with you. We need to be talking to our young men, and I say this all the time. We need to create some alternatives from this forum all over the city for our young people. And in closing, I just want to invite all of you to come out and participate and make this be a success. We got the got guys coming with their horses, and it's sponsored by Shreveport Police Department, SPAR, Project Impact, and the Moortown Neighborhood Association, which I'm president of. So we just asking you all to come out and support this. Just come out and support it. We need it. We need the relationship, because we got breakdowns all over the city, and it's just not a black and white thing. We got
it is a black and white thing, but we got as many white people suffering as we do black people suffering. So we need to come together as a people and as an elected body here and try to do something to solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
And the second part is I'd like to offer a motion to suspend the rule for Resolution 89, Mr. Chair. The second.
Been moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Butcher to suspend the rules for Resolution 89.
Yes, sir.
Please vote. And that motion carries with 7.
And this resolution has to do with who holds the right for Southern Soul. We have 2 very important people in the audience today that we'd like to recognize, Mr. Garland Jones and Lenny Lewis. Would you all come forth? And Mr. Thompson, we're going to ask that you would be kind enough to read the resolution, and whoever Garland has brought along with him and Lenny has brought. These are the folk that, and Lenny's dad, who was Stan Lewis, who give us the right to say that Louisiana, Shreveport is the home of Southern Soul. So would you all be kind enough to just give them a great big hand? And while Mr. Thompson read the resolution, I don't carry a phone, but would somebody take my picture? I'm very photogenic.
Make sure I get the flash on.
Take my picture, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, you ready? A resolution concerning the music genre of Southern Soul and to otherwise provide with respect thereto by Councilman James Green. Whereas in 1963, Stan Lewis founded Jewel Records, and he and his wife Paula started Stan's Record Shop at 728 Texas Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. And Leonard J. Lewis worked for his father after he graduated college. And whereas early on, urban adult radio stations did not welcome or play the unique music stereotyped as the blues on the air. And whereas Southern Soul, a new genre of music, was that combines a stream of blues with a mix of R&B and funk, was coined because it was soul music and the majority of the artists were from the South. And whereas Leonard J. Lewis coined the term Southern Soul, and Garland Jones developed and promoted the genre, and they worked together to create airplay for Southern Soul music. And whereas Southern Soul was registered with the Louisiana Secretary of State Trademark Division by Leonard J. Lewis, 138 Alondra Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, on June 28, 2001, with the notation, date first used in Louisiana, 11/15/1997. And whereas Garland Jones was also responsible for the first ever Southern Soul concert and series of concerts in 1996 in Shreveport, Louisiana, at the Shreveport Municipal Auditorium and the Ebony Multi-Center located on 70th Street in the Cedar Grove area of Shreveport. And whereas from the late 1990s to 2012, the majority of Southern Soul music was sold and shipped all over the country through the former Garland Super Sounds located at 7720 Linwood Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana. And whereas the city of Shreveport is proud to be known as the official birthplace of the genre Southern Soul, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the Shreveport City Council finds that Leonard J. Lewis created the term Southern Soul on November the 15th, 1997 in Shreveport to describe a music genre. He registered the term with the Louisiana Secretary of State on June the 28th, 2001, and he and Garland Jones developed and promoted the Southern Soul genre from their businesses in Shreveport. Be it further resolved that if any provision or item of this resolution or the application thereof is held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions, items, or applications of this resolution, which can be given effect without the invalid provisions, items, or application, and to this end, the provisions of this resolution are hereby declared severable.
All right. Mr. Chairman, if the Councilman Green would move for adoption of the resolution, I second.
So moved.
I second.
Been moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Bradford. Please vote.
Councilman Butcher, would you do my vote? Thank you. Thank you.
And that motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to say congratulations on behalf of the city of Shreveport and all of the citizens. And may God bless you. And you all can have remarks. And Mr. Mayor, would you like to take a picture with us? Come on. All right. Thank you. Yes, we got somebody. We're going to take the picture.
Jerry, I'll get that.
That'll work. It'll work.
Thank you. We'll have remarks from each one of you.
First, I would like to say thank you to this council. It's an honor to be before you, the great people, and I'd like to personally say to Councilman Green, thank you so much for allowing this to happen for us. And I'd like to say also to a very special thanks to our mayor, who, when this Jackson, Mississippi thing came up, when they were trying to declare that they were the home of Southern Soul, our mayor jumped in the race, and he, at the Let the Good Time Roll Festival, he came out on the stage with us, and I just want to say thank you, brother, so much. It meant so much to us, for we've been in this fight a long time, and I don't really think that Shreveport understands that you created a genre of music that will go on from now on, and we've got to, somewhere and somehow, figure a way to generate funds for our city from being this. I took the time, before I introduced the founder, I took the time to invite some friends of mine. We're not just the trendsetter, or we're not just started the name, but we have some people here around here with us that are artists, and most of these people get an average of upward of $4,500, $5,000 a night for performing. Let's give them a hand, please. But they were so excited to come before y'all. Everybody wants to come before the council, so I wanted to introduce them. And these guys, even though Jackson tried to take the honor, it just so happened that we have the #1 producer of Southern Soul with us, Mr. Ron Slack Jefferson. Let's give him a hand. Slack has, currently he has about 5 songs that's on the top chart of the Southern Soul chart right now. And his lovely wife, who's an artist, Jess Tanja Jefferson, who just released an album. What's the name of the album? It's all Ladies of Southern Soul. Just like a woman. We also have, started out as a DJ, but now he's an artist. P2K to Diddy, and he has a number of awards. He just been nominated for the Jackson Music Awards, and so many awards. I mean, it's so many. And of course, on the end, we got a country boy from Mansfield, Louisiana, but he calls himself from Shreveport. Y'all probably heard his Jeter Jones. And Jeter not only have made all the Southern Soul charts, but we worked Jeter's album, and he's currently number 55 on the top R&B charts, Billboard right now. So he's doing some great things, and I want to say to you guys, a lot of times we look at artists like Jerry Burton, Eddie Giles, and a lot of artists that came and made names, and then we waited 40, 50 years to give them credit. These people are doing it now. So let's give them some credit right now. Many.
I thank you all for this. I got out of the business 20 years ago. Garland has kept it going. And it's an important thing. Most everybody in here doesn't never heard of Southern Soul, but anything that Shreveport deserves, and we need all things like this, and that's why we should fight for recognition that we were the first. It's not me; it's these guys that are carrying it on. I just created the word and started the genre. And I know if my father was alive, he'd say thank you. My mother, my sister who gave me the money, who let me sign these artists, they thought I was crazy. And even my dad said, stay with blues. I said, no, sir, can't do that. And it took off. It really did. And I'm so happy to be a part of that. And I thank y'all for recognizing me and Garland and all the artists. And thank you for having me on stage. But what I'd like to know is, I'd like for you to find out, why does Jackson, why do they feel like they own the word? Or they started? I'd just like to know.
I was going to make some comments about that. Actually,
Okay.
a little known fact, the mayor of Jackson, Chokwe Lumumba, is a good friend of mine.
Right.
So this whole thing is straining a relationship a little bit. But it wasn't him, though, in his defense. It was his city council, because they actually do a festival annually highlighting Southern Soul. So I think more so is because their consistent commitment to it. So Shreveport now, we have an obligation to have a consistent commitment, more so than what we had in the past, so that we can shut down all their arguments. So that's how it started with their city council, not with the mayor.
I'd like to be a part of any activity that you guys come up with, like a Southern Soul Festival. Or I would like to see us have a museum for all the artists from Shreveport, not just Southern Soul, but people don't even know these artists, and that's not right. You should be proud that these artists are doing so well in a new genre of music that everybody in here probably has never heard of. But I promise you, it is going to happen. It's happening now, and I thank all of y'all, everybody, for this.
Mr. Chair. Councilman Green. Mr. Chair, again, Garland, I'd like to commend you all. Ms. Slatt, would you come and have a word? And of course, either one of you can or your wife. I heard them saying that your artists get at least $4,000 or $5,000 a night. It's a little slow around the church right now. It's summertime. I can sing a little. With a good band, it'll make me sound like I can really sing. So I'll just let you know I'm a vet. I can't sing around here, but if you got somewhere off, I'll go. Yeah. But have a word.
Well, I'm not one of those artists. I'm actually I'm the producer, and currently, like you say, I have 5 singles on the charts, but my album that I just released called My Music, My Friends, Slack Track Presents, it's number 6 on the charts. Wow. And what I did was I took a lot of unknown artists, and because of my popularity, because not only did I do Southern Soul music, but I've done R&B, I've done gospel, I've done rock, I've done, pop. So I took a lot of unknown artists, and I gave them a platform. And I knew Southern Soul, being from here, the sound that I wouldn't say I created this sound. It was already here, because it's a mixture of soul and R&B. And bless my father, because he was formerly with Archie Bell and the Drills, and I know some of you may know him. And it just instilled in me to say that I was blessed to go around the world and do the Arsenio Hall show and and all that stuff. And I just want to get a lot of unknown people. And because it's so hard here, because we don't get the support that they actually deserve. And I got them. I put them on a compilation. We got worldwide distribution through Empire. Me and my wife have a distribution deal through Empire. And I got these unknown artists. We put them out thanks to the radio stations here. Thanks to Mr. Garland Jones. Thanks to Lenny Lewis. Mr. Stan Lewis, may he rest in peace. They embraced us. They embraced this sound. And now these artists from little known Shreveport are all around the world, number 6 on the charts right now. And I'm glad, and I'm glad they just came to me and asked me to help them. And and anything that I could do as far as helping the city, helping with the festival, I do sound, I do lights, I engineer, I produce. Anything that the council and the mayor need me to do, I'm more than welcome to do it. I appreciate y'all taking y'all time listening to me. I'm not going to talk long. And I appreciate y'all having me, but we really need to know the history of what you have here, because I am the only person in Shreveport, Louisiana that's ever been on the Billboard chart as an artist, as a producer, and as an engineer. Nobody else in the city has ever done that. But I don't toot my own horn. I give back because I was blessed, so I want to bless others.
Yes, sir.
And I wish you guys would come and embrace us and bless these.
Ms. Slack, before she tell you, what's your phone number? What's your phone number, Mr. Slack?
I got it. I sent it to him. Jerry sent me the picture. I sent it to him.
No, I want his phone. Yeah.
You want my phone number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's 318-762-4743. And I thank you guys again. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate y'all for Garland and Lenny. They really deserve this, and all the artists in Shreveport, they actually deserve this too. So I hope they do get recognized. Fantastic. Thank you guys. Have a lovely evening.
Council Fleur, will you be one of my backups?
I sure will.
All right. I just want to add. I want to add something.
No, go.
Councilman Green, am I cutting
No,
you off?
No, I just asked Councilman Fleur.
Oh, he's done. I just want to add something actually is fitting that the Lieutenant Governor was here. For any artist that's listening today and for the artists that are here with us, the state actually have a program where if you go out of state and you're an artist and you perform in front of a crowd, you get $1,000 to help pay for travel expenses, et cetera. So, and it's through the Lieutenant Governor's office and the Office of Tourism. So look that up online if you're an artist that travels. So if you're making $3,000 a night, you can make $4,000. We're hoping that can help promote our area. So I just wanted to make that plug while we're on the subject. Well, I will get information from the Lieutenant Governor. We'll post on the mayor's website.
All right. Councilman Nicholson. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, before we leave the agenda item for speakers, I just wanted to ask Ms. Jones what the status of Milliman's presentation to the council is. I understood they would be here today.
Sure. Is Milliman here? I just sent a message to Mr. Madden to see if they have made it in, and I haven't gotten a response yet. So let me find out, and then I'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Green. Anything relative to property standards for Mr. Green?
Chairman.
Councilman Butcher?
Mr. Green and I have already talked about this, but for the record, I'm getting continual emails about it, and Mr. Furlong might be able to follow up on this. Do we have any kind of update on Bayou Walk Shopping Center?
No, other than
what we talked about.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I started getting some emails, even though it's not in my district, it's in Councilman Nicholson's district.
You can have it, Councilman Butcher.
Most of the people that go there live in my district. So there was some concern about some trash and some old like look like cash register stands and stuff like that they put out there. And Mr. Green went over there and checked on it for us. So we've got that under control. But as far as the future of that place, I don't think we have any kind of idea right now, do we?
No, it wouldn't be regulated through us.
Mr. Furlong, you have any update? Okay. All right, I just wanted to kind of put that on the record because I've gotten like 3 emails this week about it. So if we could, somebody with the city mayor, I don't know if that would fall under you or what, but could we kind of try to find out what's going on over there? It's starting to look pretty bad.
What's the address?
It's the Bayou Walk Shopping Center at the corner of 70th and Uri Drive.
Oh.
Right next to Kroger.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, we've actually already engaged them. That's private property.
Right.
And it's difficult for us to enforce them to do something with their.
I know that I talked to the city engineer, and there were some issues, and had thought that somebody might have bought it and was going to do something with it, but it's just starting to look even worse. So I think they painted the plywood on the front of it brown as opposed to just plywood. But anyway, if there's any updates, if y'all could just let me know, I'd appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Anyone else, Mr. Green? All right, Mr. Green, appreciate you. I'm sure you'll stick around. All right, we did receive our plan from CIA Jones. And Ms. Creel, did you have anything on the bonds?
No, sir.
Okay.
There haven't been any changes since the
last report, and I sent the council and the administration an email earlier to that effect.
Okay. And Mr. Thompson, do we have anything to add? Public hearing?
I'm sorry?
I've been asking Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jackson, but Ms. Jackie, do we have anything to add?
Yes, there was a request to add ordinance 86, an ordinance amending the 2019 capital improvements budget and otherwise providing with respect thereto. We need to find out if there's anyone here to speak for and against adding this matter to the agenda.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against adding 86 to the agenda? Is there anyone here to speak for or against adding 86 to the agenda? Okay. Seeing none.
So move that we would add it. A second.
It's been moved by Councilman Bradford and second by Councilman Green. Add 86. And motion carries with 7. All right. And do we have anyone? Yeah, that's what we had now. Making sure that we're in. All right, we have a final request to speak.
Mr. Leo Stevenson. If you would state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Okay, my name is Leo Stevenson. I am the store director for Brookshire's on Line Avenue. Before we get started, if everybody would take a picture with me.
Very photogenic.
Very photogenic. Hey, but everything going to a serious note. You know, I'm here representing Brookshire's and Super One Foods. I've been with the company for 22 years, and I've worked in several market areas, including Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, and Mississippi. But Brookshire's Grocery Company currently operates in 9 stores in Shreveport. Of those 9, only 2 have separate package stores due to the investment cost of building and operating them as separate locations. And this is referring to being able to sell liquor in the grocery store. Allowing packaged liquor sales would create convenience for our customers and bring additional tax dollars to the city of Shreveport. And at the previous city council meeting, the suggestion was made that allowing the sale of liquor in the grocery stores would increase shoplifting. But on the contrary, it has not happened. And matter of fact, we do have stores that operate and sell liquor in the Bossier Parish stores, and we hadn't had any shoplifting issues. As you know, Shreveport is the only area we operate in that does not allow liquor sales within our stores. We feel that this would be a progressive move for Shreveport. In conclusion, selling packaged liquor in our grocery stores would allow us to offer our customers a complete shopping experience, increase competition, and also make it convenient for our consumers in Caddo Parish. Furthermore, you know, as you think, without the liquor in a grocery store, it adds more liquor stores in our community on the corners at the beginning of our community. So if you just make that more convenient and have the liquor available to the consumers in the grocery store, I think it will greatly improve.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Stevenson, thank you for being here today. I understand, and you've just told us that you've worked for Brookshire's for 22 years.
Yes, sir.
You've worked in markets besides Shreveport.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, prior to the Shreveport market, I was in the West Monroe market, and we had no issues with shoplifting or anything. Matter of fact, we used security bottle caps to prevent shoplifting. Furthermore, we do use, especially for the Shreveport location, because of the high theft in Shreveport, we do have hired police officers at all our locations.
So you've had none of the problems with
Absolutely.
liquor sales?
Councilman Nicholson, no, sir. We have had no issues with shoplifting at all.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think your comments have been very helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. Thank you. Mr. Chairman. Councilman Woodson.
Real quick, just a couple of questions for you. I know in Bossier City, across the river, they have it right there when you walk in the door, like at Barksdale Boulevard.
Correct.
Do you know if they had any issues there?
No issues. And matter of fact, you know, we actually took the police officers out of the Bossier Parish because we wasn't experiencing shoplifting there at all. So they hadn't had any issues. So, and more than likely in the Shreveport area, we will have it in a upfront area where it's not as accessible to the minors. It's kind of no different from cigarettes, you know, or beer. So.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Ms. Sandra Mack.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Mack, the mayor and the council. I am here. I am a resident in the MLK area, which is District A. Councilman Willie Bradford is my councilman. I am here because I attended basically all of the meetings with the subcommittee and the committee in regards to the 2019 bond issue. And I am here to assure that the committee did put on the agenda for the MLK area to get $16,400,000 to concrete what's called the MLK ditch, and it goes from Willis Street on through Lanier, on through LaGuardia, on through Jones Mabry, and on through Montana, and on to McCain Creek. It is right now a mess. It is overgrown. It hadn't been maintained by the city in years. And at my point for going to those committee meetings was to get the committee to see how bad it was. They did take a field trip there, and they witnessed it. And in their committee, they said that the MLK, that entire area, needed to have immediate attention. And I'm standing, and that $16,400,000 is for to complete the job from Willis Street on through McCain Creek with the new bridge on Montana, and with there's drainage issues on the Booker T. Washington Street, to fix that. And I'm standing here to make sure that the monies will go specifically for that, and that it will not be diverted for anything else.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. The council has not yet received from the administration the results of the bond committee's work. I expect that shortly.
Yes.
And once we receive it, we'll review it.
One more comment.
Yes, ma'am.
The Martin Luther King area has been in the city since 1978. We have nothing to show for it but garbage service. And it's time for us to not continue to be bypassed.
Mr. Demetrius Norman.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Demetrius Norman. I was happy to serve as part of that bond committee. That was one of the few things that we were unanimous about in our committee, was addressing the concerns on the MLK area. So I'm happy that we left out of that committee pretty much everybody agreeing across the board that we need to address those concerns, that community has not been kept up with by the city like it should over the years, and we want to make good on that this time around. Another thing that we came out with, we talked about the Smart City project, and so that's something that'll come up. I came to personally speak on behalf of that project as well. It's one of the few items that will actually give our city a return on investment, and it's something that we think could spur economic activity in our area that will offset some of these high costs of taking care of all our infrastructure in our city. So we do want to make sure that a portion of the bonds actually go towards some type of economic development that will actually give us some returns, bring in additional businesses that'll bring in revenues to help take care of all these things that we keep arguing about week to week. We understand that the city does not have an abundance of money like a lot of our citizens still believe. They're constantly arguing about somebody's doing all these crazy things with money, and the fact is we don't have it coming in. We don't have a General Motors anymore. We don't have oil and gas money coming in like we used to. And so we're going to have a real talk about where our revenues come from as a city, where our citizens' jobs come from. And so I would like to see a portion of the bond allocated to that. We agreed as a committee that it should for economic development and for the broadband infrastructure. But I just wanted to convey that to the city council and let you know that's where I am as a citizen.
Sir.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Councilman Fleury?
Sir, Ms. Mack just spoke, very passionate. I heard every word she said. But I'm just puzzled. Why now you had 2 African-American mayors from the MLK area? You had Ms. Rose McCullough that served a number of years. Do you really think that you've been left out? I mean, I understand what she said, but I'm just trying to understand myself that you've been left out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put that on the 2 past on African-American mayors or mayors of any ethnicity. We're one Shreveport.
I understand,
if
but
we
they were
neglected,
citizens of your area. Let me reframe that. They were citizens from the MLK area. I went on the tour up there myself, and I could not believe what I saw.
Well, yeah, I think as a city, I think we collectively have let some of our areas down, just with the mindset we have. My position as a community member, most people that know me for the community is from being active. When we could get support in Queensboro last year for the tornado that hit our neighborhood, we were the support.
Okay.
And so that's just I'm not really here to point blame at any elected officials, past or present.
But you made a statement that you'd been left. I'm just trying to make sure I understand that. Okay.
We've been left out, and it's not been by a single individual, but it's been by groups of people collectively. Just like I served on this committee, there have been committees before. Somebody could have advocated for the Cooper Road just like I did. And it wasn't just a mayor. That's all our responsibility.
I understand.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Norman. I appreciate you.
All right.
Very much so.
Cool.
All right.
Mr. Michael Williams.
Michael Williams, 2101 Carver Place, that great city of Shreveport, Louisiana, to our honorable mayor and his great staff, and to Mr. Chairman, to my Councilman Bradford. You know, the city of Shreveport has a rich heritage and a bright future. As we work together to try to stimulate and grow the economy and create jobs, and we know we live in a fiber optic, computeristic society, we've got to be in a position where we learn to work together and not have so much confrontation, but learn to work together and work in the spirit of compromise. Mr. Lester came up earlier and talked about this initiative, which has the evidence-based approval of many cities across America. And we know we have a national epidemic with the perception is young African Americans are fearful of police officers. And statistics will show that there have been 480 officers, 480 people shot as of this year based on the national statistics by police officers. So what can we do to make an impact? I'd like to commend the administration and especially the Honorable Police Chief and SPAR and Moortown community for coming together with this comprehensive initiative that's been proven all over America where they can interact and rebuild and rebond and reconnect this culture of back with the police department. I recall when I was a young kid, police officer was our friend. They gave us swimming tickets, and sometimes they took us riding to get a job with JPTA. That's the type of feeling we need to have because there are people too. And we need to learn to work and trust together and build that trust back with our police officers. And the badge and the baseball is seen to be something to bring people together. I'm excited for this first ever baseball between the police, the people, and the preachers. Down in the city, it doesn't cost a whole lot. All it costs is a little time and a little effort to work together. This is our city. Everybody that's black is not a criminal. Everybody that's not white is not racist. but there's ignorance on both sides. And we need to learn to work together and be a city of inclusion. And if you learn to create and craft with the people at the bottom, you'll have more input if you learn to work together with the people at the bottom and make them part of the solution. And I see that being happening on the bond issue. So I hope that you can come out and swing a baseball and apple pie and work together and see police officers in another setting besides something negative. So most of the time they come to rest and intervene. But this is a preventive measure to hope to start some new relationship and hope to get people to bring jobs and stimulate our economy and allow people to have contracts and be able to work and prosper in our great city of Shreveport, Louisiana. So I'm excited being a part of the planning committee to address this here. And I love Shreveport, and I have great trust in the citizens. And I hope that they will come out citywide and come out and have a good time on a Tuesday, the 16th. About 6:30, and we're looking forward to you guys coming out. And maybe, James, you can't play ball. Maybe we get a group together because that seems to be where the money at. And then get us a Southern Soul band here together so we can start singing.
Well, is it all right if I be the manager? That means that I'll be the water boy.
Yes, sir. But anyway, thank you again, and appreciate what we're doing. We get a lot of bad rap in the city, and of course, you councilmen get a bad rap, but often nobody knows the work and the labor that you do, and we appreciate it, and especially Councilman Bradford and Green for coming on board first. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams and Mr. Smith, I want to commend y'all both for putting this on. Over the last couple of months, we've sat and listened and heard lots of complaints about the police department, but a lot of people that were doing the complaining were not coming up with any kind of solution to maybe make better relations. And I appreciate y'all getting this together, and I support it 100%. I hope at some point in the near future the city can be able to help y'all and partner up even more. But I think it's a great idea, and I'm glad to see that Mayor and the police chief and SPAR are being involved. So that's all. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
I guarantee that the police going to win, but they're going to play.
Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. I believe it's a wonderful idea to recognize Alex Ray for the first inaugural Father's Day K-Run. I please ask that you please get this done because he'll be absolutely tickled pink and thrilled and honored and will deserve that. I only had a short chance to write that down because when I came there were no agendas out, so I had to just pick out something at random. Now, a baseball bat and a cake are both alike. They make a bunt cake. It's supposed to be a joke.
You put a spin on the last one.
Well, of course, I got that from the little advertisement on TV. And do you know what you call a nose that's separated from a body? Nobody knows. I heard that one too.
That's a good one.
And I'm glad, Mayor Perkins, that you and I saw each other as you were going out and I was coming into the chambers. Hilarious. I also wanted to say I was planning on coming yesterday, but I had words with a robocall, and I keep getting these robocalls from people I don't know, and I wish they'd just bug off. One even called the other day and said something to me, and it said, "Can you hear me okay?" I hung up the phone, and I said, "I'm not even going to the prom with you."
Sandy, call your councilwoman on the robocall.
I'm taking care of this myself.
Councilman, he's still got time, so Councilman Fleury, what do you call a nose that doesn't have a body? Nobody knows.
Mr. Craig
I like that one.
I like this being put on the back.
Craig Lee, 1112 Prospect Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm glad that Ms. Rashida Dawson hit on a very important fact as we talk about predatory lending, which I am in favor of legislation that would limit these lenders in Shreveport as we were with the Cattle Parish legislation, because she hit on a very key thing as she talked about the interest rates that can be charged just on $100, over 700%. So the question I have for the council is, the first question is, what is the difference between gambling and gaming? Gambling in the state of Louisiana is illegal. gaming is legal. But the only thing that separates the two are two letters, a B and a L. But gambling is legal and gaming is legal. What is the difference between payday loan companies and loan sharks? One is legal, one is illegal. But the payday loan company is still charging more interest than the loan sharking companies. I would challenge James Carstensen in terms of his assertion that the problem is with the demand. It is not the problem, and neither is the problem the payday loan companies. The problem is the system of capitalism. Capitalism is predicated on the creation of a permanent underclass, the maintenance and the expansion of a permanent underclass. So we're dealing with, a few months ago, we had a report given by the Community Foundation, and they talked about the Alice report. Over 54% of our residents are living in poverty. That is the impetus that actually creates the quote-unquote perceived need for payday lenders. So I have a few solutions as I close. Number one, Councilman Bradford, you came up with a great idea on Facebook to mobilize religious institutions who are ready, willing, and prepared to establish community-based credit union. That's number one. Number two, partner the Caddo Teachers Credit Union with the Carter Federal Credit Union in order to create new financial products to eliminate those particular consumers seeking payday loan companies. Number three, and this is where this has to start, establish a mandatory financial literacy course for all students in Caddo Parish Public School System starting at elementary level. And then lastly, as many of you didn't know about Bank on Shreveport, which we had led the fight to deal with the unbanked back in the early 2000s, and as Bonnie Moore said, they came up with this program with the former Shreveport Federal Credit Union and other lenders in order to deal with that, expanding those particular programs so that now we can help our people. Thank you.
Mr. Lee. Ms. Edna Frierson.
To the mayor, to the council, my name's Edna Frierson. My address is 2833 Jones Mabry Road in Martin Luther King area, Cooper Road I call it. That's where I was reared up. I really thought at this time in my life that I would not still be fighting for Cooper Road. But you have to do what you have to do. One thing, the streets. I remember when we went into the city, the parish had concreted the streets. The city has not did anything, but brought garbage trucks, and hey, we were carrying our stuff to the dumpster anyway. So that didn't help us. We were warned not to go into the city because it would do that. But we went into it anyway. I heard the man say, y'all had two black mayors. We got 3. All right. So what will happen now? All right. You know, we are not begging for anything. We didn't come here to beg. We came here to follow the money. Follow the money. Because Cooper Road has been paid once to do that ditch. And nobody know what happened to the money. Nobody know. Many been some years ago. It was paid to do that ditch. And nobody know what happened to the money. So we've been following the money. We can't keep you from taking it, but we sure can follow it. And then the thing about it, when they taken, really, this was so far down on the list, Cooper Road was so far down on the list. When we looked at it, we already knew this won't be. So that it was like, I'm going to put a lot of money here, but you ain't going to get it. But when the people went out and taken a view of the situation, then everybody's mind changed. This need to go to the top. Yeah, it's just bad when you got to just bring people out. Come and look at this mess we have. Drainage is terrible. The streets broke up, cracked up, tear up your car. And then when they come out to fix the streets in Cooper Road area, they'll fix a block, and then they'll miss 3 blocks and go and patch up, patch. This is the truth. You can go on Robert Street today in Moortown. It's like this. One side up, one side down, where you all put that whatever you have to put under the ground, and then put blacktop over it, and that's the way it is.
Thank you, Ms. Frierson. Councilwoman Fuller.
Thank you.
Ms. Frierson, were you on the committee? Did you serve on the committee?
I didn't, sir. I didn't know about a committee. We didn't even know it. Somebody told us about it.
We were each allowed to select 2 people for the committee. I'm understanding your concerns, but we haven't seen the entire list of projects yet to even start to deliberate on them.
I know.
But what am I trying to say? I understand the urgency and the skepticism, because basically you're saying that from what you've heard back from the committee, even though that's at the top of the list, you're skeptical that it's going to make it to the final.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming to address us today.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chair. Yes, Ms. Roberts.
Frierson?
Ms. Frierson. I'm well aware about Robert Street, and I've also talked to Mr. Norman about it. That was done before I got on the council, but we're going to get Robert Street straightened out. And also, they do a lot of dumping over there. If somebody could give us the address of who always dump trash. Mr. Norman has carried his crew over there. They've got all the trash, and now they pile up another load of stuff. So if you know anybody over there that can get us who's doing that dumping, then Chief Raymond is going to put them in jail. And if you could just get us that information. But we're going to take care of Robert Street. It's exactly just like what you said. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. I feel compelled to say something at this point before some of my constituents leave, as I represent District A, which includes the Cooper Road MLK area. Councilman Flory mentioned it. My first year on the council, I took council members as well as the clerk on a bus ride through the Cooper Road to show them the conditions of my district. What Councilman Flory was referring to, and I refer to it often, in 1978, when the MLK community voted to be annexed into the city, there was certain commitments made to those residents. Because at the time, the MLK area was in the parish, and it had streets, drainages, all was at parish standards. And when they was annexed, they was told that they will work to bring the MLK streets and drainages up to city standards. There are streets that runs through the MLK area that has no drainage system at all, which means that the water just goes everywhere, anywhere. Constant flooding for the last 40 years. Now, my reason for going on the ride, and my reason in which the representative that I put on the committee, and I told the MLK community, through the MLK Community Neighborhood Association, as well as through the MLK CDC, that the best opportunity that I had to address these issues was through a bond proposal. So the MLK community, the ills and the neglect of that community over the last 40 years, some of it would be addressed through this bond proposal. But Councilman Flory was saying that we can't do capital projects out of our operational budget. We have a special street revenue fund which we can address streets, but the needs that the Cooper Road community is in need of has to be done through a bond proposal where we can try to get something done. But even if for the last 40 years, $1 million was placed to do some street repairs and some other improvements to that community, that still would have made a difference in that community. And we've had representatives, and it does matter who you represent, who have represented these areas for decades, and yet the conditions of the community stay the same. That's not right, okay? And I vowed that I was going to make a difference not only in the MLK area, but in the Allendale area and the Lakeside area. And we couldn't do it through a budget process because the budget process wouldn't allow us to put the kind of funding that we needed to make this happen. So I welcome Ms. Mack. Ms. Mack lives, and she's right. Ms. Mack lived within 100 yards of that ditch that runs through across Lanier and down through McCain Creek. It's overgrown. It's constantly overgrown, and it draws a whole lot of undesirable critters. But we've had it clean, but it grows back up so fast. It needs to be addressed in the manner that she said, and we're going to try to get that done this time. But I'm still saying 40 years in the city with a commitment to improve the conditions of that neighborhood, and you heard somebody say there are streets up there that have not been asphalt overlaid in 40 years, and that's true. And I just regret that it had not been addressed, but I even further regret that the residents of Cooper have not spoken out to the extent that they feel that they should now in the last 40 years through various city council members and various city administrations. We're going to get something done this round. All I need to do is be prepared. I'm going to bring my issues to the community once these projects are released to my district, especially within the MLK area. But your responsibility, if you chose to accept it, is to go out and vote and make sure that we get this proposal passed. Because if it passed, the money will go directly to the projects in which they were intended. We're not going to divert money from any project that has been approved by the voters for these special projects. Let's work together. Let's get it done. But I'm saying again that it was no way in the last 4 years that I've been on the council that I could have gotten the money that was necessary to do the improvements that I thought it needed. But now's the time, and we're going to get it done. But you got to go out and vote and make sure that we get this bond proposal passed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Green, are you on the speak, sir?
No, sir.
Ms. Jones?
I'm sorry. No, it is a new one. I just wanted to let the council know that you will receive the complete list that the subcommittees recommended that came from the final committee, so that there won't be any there's no tweaking that we will be doing from the administrative standpoint. You will see exactly what the committees and the subcommittees requested, so that you will know exactly the desires that came from those groups.
But there will be an opportunity for the council to make any modifications if need be, right?
Yes, sir. And that's why we're passing the list on to the council members, so that you can know what their recommendations were, and then ultimately the council would need to determine what the final list would be to move forward with.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Mr. Chairman, I have what I believe to be James Montgomery's slip in front of me of Oak Forest Lane. And I apologize, sir, if I misread your last name.
Good afternoon, City Council, the Mayor. I sit there and I listen at the MLK area as far as the drainage call. My name is James R. Montgomery Sr. Address is 3021 Oak Forest Lane, zip code 71107. That's the MLK area. And as I sit there and listen, I heard about the 40 years back, which is true. I want to say again. I want to bring up some history concerning the MLK area. I was there by a young man by the name of Farpay. His mother, the late Faye Farpay, who was the secretary and DJ at KOKA. And I used to work with his father when I was in high school. We call him Boo Farpay. When he was soliciting the land to put that drainage back there, there's a contract concerning that drainage ditch. In that ditch, supposed to have been concreted, supposed to have a walkway with benches all the way to McCain Creek. My dad purchased his land after he came home from World War I. $3 an acre. He owned it a block long and a half a block wide. Late Fleming Montgomery. That's on the corner of MLK and Lanier. That place is named after my sister, who's present living, Ethel Johnson Park. Now, at the time of purchasing that land, I said to Farpay, man, that's too much land for what you guys want to pay. That's right where the bridge is at. But anyway, my mother went ahead and she signed the papers. So did her children. All the way down to McCain Creek by Montana. I own property there. I own property right by Family Dollar. And this ditch is like a snake. It gets smaller. I understand the engineers want to do what you call go in and widen it out. I am an ex-engineer by construction and combat. I'm a retired military man. 21 years, 6 months in that man's army. And I have a little knowledge about what is existing there. We would like to see that ditch concrete. We would like to see the MLK area be brought up to where it's supposed to be. Promises have been made about the MLK area. We don't want to hear promises. We want to see action. Don't want to hear this thing about black mayor, white mayor. If the commander ain't no good in the army, we get rid of him. And if he's black and he's good, we keep him. If he's white and he's good, we keep him. I would not go to combat with a commander do not know his right from his left. All right? Now.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your time is out, but I have a question for you.
Bring it on.
Will you explain to everybody what the benefit of having that ditch be concrete is?
Because it stops the water from eroding the property. It is getting wider. To bring your attention to one thing, right in front of the Mayshak's resident, coming from MLK, is a drop-off, a drainage, about 8 to 10 feet deep. You can't see it. I called the state and it spoke to the city. Who's keeping up this? Miss Buchanan say, I don't know. I spoke to another man in the state. He said, Fleming Montgomery is going to keep it up. I said, you go on out there and get my dad up out of his grave?
Councilman, let me respond to that because I'm familiar with thank you, Mr. Chairman. And there's no secret that the drainage ditch that is in subject now is the major drainage ditch that's run through the MLK area. It carries the water to McCain Creek over to that bayou that takes it into the Red River. Okay, and flooding occurs 3 ways in the MLK area. It occurs when the spillway at Cross Lake is open and the water comes back up into Russell Road. It occurs when the Red River won't let the drainage dump into the Red River, which backs up. But the issue is simply that the drainage ditch that that is so neatly, right now it's overgrown, so water is impeded. It erodes the sides, and it creates undesirable, it's a mosquito bed, and I'm just saying again that we understand the problem. Once the bond proposal projects are released to the council, I'm saying again to my constituents that I will be holding a meeting at the David Raines Community Center. We would have opportunity to review it and scrutinize it and make suggestions on projects that may not be included, so that I can bring back to this council and we can come up with our final bond proposal proposition. So we and I appreciate you guys following the committee, but my instruction to my two appointees was that MLK needs would be a priority. We will see if that is the case once these projects are released back to us. I was in communications constantly with Dr. Gail Griffin, who was one of my representatives, who escorted and gave was a tour guide for the bus ride that the committee went on 2 weeks ago. So I'm familiar with the process and what was going on, but I have not seen, because the administration have not released the totality of the projects for District A. We will have the opportunity to review those, scrutinize them, and I will give all my districts, neighborhoods rather, a say in how we will make District A more of a viable community. Thank you.
Councilman, I appreciate that. I want you to know, I was just, for my own edification, wanted to understand the visual a little better. That's why I was asking.
And you just gave me an idea. I'm gonna take you on a bus ride.
We get to eat lunch first?
We can do that.
Okay.
Where this ditch is off of Lanier, is that correct?
The ditch runs. The ditch is a half a block from the near, I guess, would be the closest major street, but then it snakes back around. It starts up around in the back of Southern University, New Smith area, and then it comes all the way and runs, and then it curves when you get to around Montana, and in the back of McCain, there's some housing area. Then there's a creek they call McCain Creek. It goes into McCain Creek, and then it flows over under the MLK Highway into the Bison that goes into Red River.
I was trying to pull it up on the map.
But anyway, I'm gonna do like I did before. I'm gonna take some of the council members on the boat on a bus ride over there. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Craig Toys.
Good afternoon. My name is Craig Toys. I live at 4724 Fairfield Avenue. I'm a lifelong resident of this community. I'm third generation owner of Max's Pawn Shops. I appreciate, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff, the opportunity to be here. I was able to participate last month with the Caddo Parish Commission in helping to draft a resolution that was passed by the Caddo Parish Commission asking this body to look at an issue that they perceive to be a problem. Well, I'm here twofold. I found out about this late yesterday evening, so I emailed earlier. I don't know if y'all had an opportunity to get that email, but I also sent out the resolution that was presented yesterday was a initial draft of the resolution. It is not the resolution that was passed by the commission on June the 20th. I have in front of you a copy of the resolution number 50 of 2019, and in it you'll notice that there is a lot more verbiage that has not to do with any of the lending institutions, but more of what's going on in our community, which I do support. As a member of this community, I'm here to be pro-business and help support this community. A rising tide raises all ships. A good economy is good for all businesses, including the pawn shops. On a sidebar, you can throw out percentages all you want, Throw out 2,000% APR. What does it matter when a person is standing in front of you and says, I have nowhere else to go, and I need $100 to take care of my bills to get me to the end of the month, to get me to the next payday, to get me to the next paycheck. And the difference in a pawn transaction versus a payday loan, the pawn loan is a non-recourse transaction. You are never obligated to pay it back. It is a totally different type of entity. That is what we were able to convey to the Caddo Parish Commission. They understood that. That's why they struck any of the pawn shop verbiage out of their proposed amendment. The bottom line is it's $20 for a month. You can call it all the percentages you want. Our average loan is less than $80 in my stores. I make $5 courtesy loans. I make $10 courtesy loans to customers. Not that their merchandise is worth anything, but it gets them to the paycheck because they come back and they do business with me on something else. We buy, sell, and trade, and your business is welcome and appreciated. We don't call you, harass you, ruin your credit rating. It costs them $2. No other bank, no other institution can afford to do that for $2. We absorb that as part of our overall business. I ask respectfully that you look at the resolution that was passed by the Caddo Parish and understand that there's a whole section in here dealing with the J.P. Morgan Chase Bank building on 332 East 70th Street. And you ask, well, how does that have to do with payday loans or pawn shops or anything else? It doesn't. And I did that on purpose. I made my email read like you all understood what was going on. So I welcome information about what's going on in the community in that part of the area because I want to see that area grow. I love Cedar Grove. I have fond memories of growing up in that community.
Mr. Torres, I have Councilman Green.
Thank you. Sir,
yes, sir.
I'd just like to say I've known you for
yes, sir.
Ever and a day. You all run a top-of-the-line business. I commend you. You all help a lot of people. Sometimes folk make what you all do bad. I've never had a person to come to me and say a bad thing about any pawn shops in my district, in fact, in the city.
Thank you. That's important because we are part of this community and want to be part of this community.
So one, I'd just really like to commend you. And as you just said, there are people that just need $100. They may not ever need it again.
They need 10.
But they come and you all, I've never heard anybody say that you all mistreat them or whatever. And I'd just like to thank you all for the work that you do. And I just really appreciate you and keep up the good work. You run a top-of-the-line operation.
Thank you.
Everybody in my district who has pawn shops run top-of-the-line business.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping people.
Well, we want to make sure that we understand the separation between this resolution and what we do.
Yes, sir.
But also understand that we do want to see this community go and grow, and I want to see something positive come into that area. So when you come off of I-49 and you're heading east to our beautiful Uri Drive corridor, that you don't feel like, what happened there?
Yes,
why does it look like that? And what's going on that you can't put more business there? Why are we abandoning these areas? That's a whole other issue that has to do with more than what this amendment started out as.
Yes, sir. And again, I just want to say thank you. And
thank you all very much for your time.
Councilman Nicholson.
Anything else, sir?
Mr. Toys, thank you for being here today. I want to make sure I understand your position. You'd like us to omit pawn shops in the moratorium, but you don't oppose a one-year moratorium on payday lenders. Is that right?
Yes, sir. What I'm looking for is just a clarification that we have already been distinguished as being a separate entity from the payday loans. We are a non-recourse transaction, just the nature of the business. It's not predatory in that mode, as some of these other types of financial institutions are. Also, the fact that the amendment, this resolution number 50, was asking the City Council. I expected this to come to City Council. I knew it was coming to City Council, but I was expecting the past piece of the piece that actually got passed. This should be presented to the City Council, not the initial resolution. With that being said, though, there is also an underlying element to this that I don't understand. There's a backstory going on here, and whether it's the responsibility of this council to dictate that, I don't think so. I don't know. And I liked what a parish commissioner said, we can't dictate to Shreveport how they run their business. And they got it through in its current form. So looking at its current form, this is not what is on the agenda.
I understand, I think, what non-recourse means, but I want to make sure that the audience understands that distinction.
Yes,
if I bring an item to a pawn shop and I need a $100 loan and I don't pay you back, you keep that item.
It's just like you've sold it.
Right.
And the beautiful part about it is you don't owe it. We never call you, harass you, run your credit rating. That's the big part.
But the opposite is true of payday lenders, right? They take recourse loans.
Absolutely. Their terms are shorter. They have the support of our laws to say that they can resubmit that check, collect non-sufficient fees, and they can take you to small claims court and collect court costs and fees associated with it. So yes, all of a sudden this $100 loan becomes $1,000.
And payday lenders do that all the time.
Unfortunately, yes. It's a product that I don't understand and agree with.
And you don't provide that product.
I do not.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman Bradford?
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
How many establishments do you have?
We have 3 in Shreveport and 1 in Bossier. From 1935 to 1984, we had 1 location on the corner of Common and Milan, my grandfather Max.
Yeah.
I came back from LSU and with my wife in tow, and we started opening up other locations because we saw downtown changing from a retail standpoint. We were heavy on jewelry. We buy, sell, and trade antiques in the States. And so therefore we went to where the community was. And that was South Shreveport then. You had AT&T, you had General Motors, you had General Electric, you had Beard. It's a changing world, so we grow and go to where the consumer is, where the customer is.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate your business as well. I mean, Max was around when I was a little boy.
Since 1935.
So, have you ever considered or was encouraged to do a payday loan?
Oh, yes, I looked at it, sure. And I looked at doing scratch-off lottery tickets. When the lottery first came to this market and the state was going to do it, we all were in those meetings with ATF and everybody. I looked at it as a product that I did not like, I did not agree with, and I thought it was a competitive product. The problem is when you come into my stores and you present that item and we're going to try to help you out, the first thing we say is, hi, thanks for coming in, then how can we help you, how much do you need? Our redemption rate is over 70%. We allow customers to reduce, extend, and redeem those items at any time. Versus if the payday loan product is in your business and you've forfeited on that, and I've gone after you and I've called you, harassed you, ruined your credit rating, garnished your future income tax returns and wages, you're not coming back into my store. I've lost that customer. I want your business in the future. That's how you stay in business in a community since 1935 for generations, by supporting that community and supporting that customer. So sometimes they want to buy something. I have a wedding set, but then they actually have something that they can trade in and buy something bigger. Or they've gone to another jewelry store and they trade in that wedding set for another wedding set to get bigger and better. Ladies will let you trade up. They will not let you trade down. And so it's just the nature of the item, whether it's a new television, but you have to have a good economy to get that person to go to the Best Buy first to buy it new, to have it to trade in or borrow money on or to sell. We have to get a better economy around here.
I have 2 other questions and one comment. The statement was made. Tell me the difference in the market now that it was, say, 25 years ago. Do you see any difference?
Oh, absolutely. And actually, there's been a decline in the number of pawn shops, the number of payday loan businesses are less this year than they were last year, less than the year before, the year before. There's been nothing but a decline over the past 10 years. There are fewer pawn shops and payday loan in this market right now than there were last year.
Is that right?
The economy affects that because people don't have the resources. Also, you've got a situation where it's supply and demand. And that's why the banks pulled out. Chase has an empty building there, not because Chase was being productive there, because they couldn't make any money. And they put it up for auction. And there was a local business that wanted it, from what I understand. They didn't get it. Another local business, that building, by the way, is under contract with a local business who is not in the financial business.
Okay.
He's actually a government-related business.
So let me understand you right before I make my last statement. In that, the argument was yesterday: is the demand higher than the supply?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No. As a matter of fact, I am not looking to expand.
Okay.
So from my standpoint, I should say, oh, good. No more pawn shops, less competition, yay. No, competition's good. Competition's good for any business in any market. It makes that market tighter, better for the consumer. Okay. If that customer has options to be able to say, hey, can I borrow money against an item with the ability to pay it back, but if I don't have to, I don't need to, I'm not worried about it, great. That payday loan is another situation. It's convenient. It's easier to loan against a check, but you got to have a job that's going to deposit money in 2 weeks or a month to make that check good. And if you don't have a job, that's where the real problem is.
So you haven't expanded, but do you see this preparatory lending feeding frenzy continuing with, if more was available, that they would continue to feed off of the weak?
No, because you still have to have a product. They still have to have some reasonable, you have to have some type of a checking account. To do a payday loan, you have to have a source of income.
Oh, is that? Okay.
Okay, you can't just go in. You're presenting a check. It's a deferred check business.
Okay.
I'm not in the payday loan business, but I understand how it works. I write, you're a payday loan. I'm the customer. I write you a check for $120, and I date it the 30th of this month.
Okay.
You give me $100.
Right.
On the 30th, you're going to cash my check for $120, and you'll receive your $20 fee.
Mm-hmm.
If that check is NSF, the bank charges $35 to me, the bank, not the payday loan people. But the payday loan can charge me another $25. And so all of a sudden that $100 is $80, $170. Then they resubmit it, and it cycles again. Now it's over $200. Then they take you to small claims court. And then they get you for legal fees and everything else.
I see. Well, my statement is going to be, and it's sad to my MLK constituents, we have a bank, Capital One. They notified me that they'll be closing at the end of August. We don't have a payday loan, we don't have a pawn shop, but we do have a bank which will be closing in 45 days. And I'm afraid that these new preparatory lending institutions would be targeting that area because there won't be no other source of banking there for the time being. So
I can't speak for that, but it's no different than they closed the Capital One on Line Avenue in front of Piermont Mall.
Okay.
They've gone in, and if you look at these bistro-type banks that they want to do, they want you to come in and have a cup of coffee. They want you to go to the laptop and serve yourself. They want you to help yourself. You go to any of the stores now, Lowe's, Home Depot, Brookshire's, anywhere, and you don't even talk to people. You can go in, get your item, go scan it yourself, and leave. You're paying them to buy from them because you're doing the work. Okay? That's what the banks are going to. The banks want you to do everything online. They want you to get that check, deposit it. They don't want any paper. The banks have gone around this thing called choke point, which is a whole other issue, and they basically said, you're too expensive of a customer. You use money. You use cash. Well, yeah, we sell money. We give customers cash. They don't want somebody else's credit card receipt or debit card receipt. And now the banks are charging as much fees on the debit cards to you and the merchant. You go to a money machine, and it's $3 to $5 to get your own money back out. And that's whether you get $10, $20, $30. It's cheaper for somebody to get a pawn loan than to bounce a check. So they'll come in and borrow that $20 from us instead of being $4 for a month versus a $35, don't pick on Capital One, but let's pick on them. Because I know it. So what happens, that bank closed, the building is up for sale, and a competing smaller community bank went in there because they perceived there to be a market there. They perceived there to be a business. Okay, that's what you got to create. You've got to create a market for that bank to want to be there.
Yeah.
You've got to create an economy that wants that bank to be there. You've got to create jobs. You've got to create work.
Sir, I really appreciate you engaging me, and you've been very informative.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Very informative and enlightening, so thank you very much.
You bet. Have a great day.
Mr. Chair.
Anybody else?
My last comment is thank you very much. So from what you just, every question that I had, you've answered it. So more than putting a moratorium on pawn shops and payday loans, we need to include banks in here as well, the way that they do whatever.
We definitely don't need any more used tire stores along that strip.
Right.
And we don't need any more, these type of things that, what is it doing to generate? But I don't beat these guys up because at least they're trying to make a dollar.
Exactly. So, anyway, you know that we've been friends for years.
Yes, sir.
But I got to say hello to my friends at National Jewelers. But you're one of my favorites.
They're all good. We're all family. Anybody?
Tell Ainsley I said hi.
She says hi back. Thank you.
Ms. Samari Hussain.
Y'all caught me because I was just about to go. Y'all going to get me in trouble at my next meeting. But my name is Omari Hossein, 404 Jordan Street. And glad to be here today to talk about a couple of things. The first I want to address are some things that came up at the during yesterday's administrative conference. Okay, we talked about the moratorium on the payday lending, which has come up, and we've kind of discussed it a little further. But I was able to kind of sit and listen to the discussion, hearing folks that spoke, and also hearing conversations behind the horseshoe. And one representative referred to the moratorium as a Band-Aid approach. And really, to me, I don't think it's a Band-Aid approach. I think that it's more of an antibiotic. You know, you kill and you prevent the growth of the bacteria, and then you do the treatment to treat the root of it. And of course, the root of the problem with payday lending, of course, is economic disparity, right? Poverty. And so we want to, at the same time, vote on this ordinance, and whether you decide to take out the pawn shops or not and follow what the commission did, that's wonderful. But I think based on the data community development shared today and Rashida Dawson shared today, I think it's important to really focus on the payday lending. And then, of course, to move a step further, if Bank on Shreveport needs more resources to do their work because they've shown themselves to be effective through their numbers and their outcomes, then by all means, let's do that. Council, please do that. But also to create a holistic plan, a holistic policy plan around economic disparity. Do both at the same time, right? We can walk and we can chew bubble gum. So let's do both. Let's pass Ordinance 85, and let's also create a holistic policy plan to treat economic disparity, which is affecting many of our residents and many of your constituents. But I also want to kind of move forward and talk about the piece of legislation that was brought forth by you, Councilman Nicholson, in regarding to moving the meeting times to 4:30. I was really excited when I saw it on the agenda, but really dismayed when I found you to withdraw it. And I think that the mayor's team, hey, Mayor and administration, I think you all are committed to the work, and I do not think that they would go against the wishes and the needs of their constituents by moving the meeting time to 4:30. I think that we elected you all as our council people to kind of solve important issues, which means uncomfortable things will have to take place. And if pushing the meeting times back to 4:30 democratizes the process and provides access for people for whom the legislation that you're deciding impacts the most, I think it's important that you fill those needs. And then lastly, as we move toward August 13th and the general obligation bond, you all heard some of the needs, some of the concerns of the community. And I think it's important, Councilman Bradford, as you go to your neighborhood meetings and others, as you go to your neighborhood meetings, you align what you know the needs of your citizens are along with what their thoughts are. And I think, because I have a colleague that was on the committee, I think that they all contributed really important project solutions and ideas. I know my time is up, and I'm concluding.
Well,
Sorry.
Ms. Hossein,
Yes.
I just want to thank you for being here. You always speak very well, and I appreciate your thoughts. I am willing to continue the conversation with my colleagues about moving the meeting time until 4:30. I withdrew my legislation recently that would have done that because it was clear that at least two members had very serious concerns about some of the consequences of that change that I hadn't fully considered.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, part of sitting up here is listening to your colleagues and taking a step back when they point out things you haven't thought about. So I'm still willing to have that conversation with them, and maybe we can address some of the concerns that they raised. I just didn't think it was the right thing to do to ramrod it through, even though I think I had the votes to do it as a courtesy to them. I wanted to have some more conversations with them before we made a change to a tradition that's been in place for 40 years.
Absolutely, I respect that. I appreciate that it's a 40-year tradition, but not all traditions are good. And when we find that the tradition is not serving us, then we change that tradition. Also, I think it's admirable that you're respecting your colleagues, but you must respect your constituents, because it is to those that you owe your public service. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for listening and responding.
Councilman Graham.
Yes, I just wanted to respond. I didn't have a problem with me coming at 4:30.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But just say, for instance, our staff, normally they get here at 7:30 in the morning.
Right.
The mayor's staff, I don't know what time to get, and other city workers. And I just refuse to punish people for being here from 7:30 in the morning until maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night without paying them any more money. I'm committed. I could come here and stay until, because I signed up for it. But what I said to my colleague, Councilman Nicholson, and others, is that, for instance, our staff, they get here at 7:30 in the morning. Now, if we move opening City Hall from whatever time we open to another time, that we don't incur and we don't, like, for instance, all city employees, they got families, they got whatever. So to put them on the same level with us that we signed up for this would be unfair to them. And that was my only problem. But as far as me, if there was a way that we could operate this stuff automatically, I have no computer skills. Other colleagues do. If we could operate this stuff on our own, fine.
Yeah.
But mine was simply that we could not and we can't punish people without paying them, because there are no free lunches. Somebody has to pay. And my looking out is, for instance, like now, all of this stuff that's on the agenda about the payday loan and about amending the city employees right now, they are nervous about their pension plan.
Okay.
And right now, they don't know if they're going to have to add money into it. They don't know what they got to do. And we as a body, we've got to come together and we've got to talk about it and get with the administration so that we can get a game plan to help these people. Right now, city employees, just say if everybody retired at this point in time, we wouldn't have the money to pay for their retirement.
Wow.
Even if 60%, we wouldn't have enough. So more than putting a burden on them was my concern. And I feel what you're saying. I wish that everybody could be here.
Right.
But to punish our city employees, and like I say, that retirement, and it's not anybody's fault. The stock market was down or whatever. But what we got to do up here is figure out how we going to get the money in to satisfy, one, to give our employees a raise, two is to get their salary, their retirement to where it is. And that's basically where we are. We've been here about 6 months. We're going to work it out. But right now, we just hadn't had enough time to do it. And so at a later date, maybe once we get Councilman Nicholson, myself with Councilman Bradford, and Councilman Bolt, we voted to give the sanitation workers a raise, and then our reserve was at the bottom, so Councilman Nicholson got a fund, a enterprise fund to put the money in so that we'll be able to serve the reserve, because it's down at the bottom. So we just have a lot of stuff that we got to do, and we can't just do it all at one time.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I do feel your pain.
I understand. And I respectfully disagree with you. I don't think it would be punishment. I think that public city workers are constituents too. And so, it's vital that, while you're serving their needs, you got to recognize they're citizens of this city, and they definitely deserve input in the process that will impact them, and that's all we're saying. So again, Councilman Nicholson, Councilwoman Fuller, you are my representative. I appreciate you, and Representative Green, I appreciate your remarks. But I really do have to go. I'm sorry, y'all. I just wanted y'all to know that. Okay? All right, y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just express to the Councilman Nicholson for his withdrawal and consideration of our opinion and our position on the late time start. Today is a perfect example of what I was trying to explain last meeting. If we'd have started the meeting, it's 5:30. If we would have started the meeting at 4:30, it'll be 7 o'clock. And we hadn't even gotten to agenda items.
But maybe there's more urgency.
And there's a Black Caucus meeting at Southern University that's going to start in 30 minutes, and I wanted to be there. the Lieutenant Governor invited James Green to dinner at 5 o'clock. My point is simply that I think we need to give this more, when we talk about this, let's look at totality of it, as well as when we talk about some other items on the agenda that be coming up. But I want to again thank you, because the plan work when we have teamwork.
And again, I'd like to thank you. Did have the votes, but I appreciate you saying, okay, man, I'm not going to ramrod this. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Councilman Butcher.
I'm at a point where I feel like I agree with everything that's been said about making it easier for our constituents to come up here and speak about items that are going on in the city. Is there a possibility that we can move maybe the administrative conference to 4:30 and leave the meeting like it is, and then people would at least have an opportunity to come and speak on agenda items on that Monday? Typically, there's no action that's taken on the agenda items, but it would give people time to come and speak. So if we moved our administrative conference to 4:30, I know there is a burden on city employees, and I agree with you. I worked shift work for the city of Shreveport for many years, and I understand the importance of having small children at home and wanting to go home and be with your kids. But it would at least look like we're giving our constituents another option to be able to come. Keep the regular business meeting that we have every other Tuesday at 3 o'clock, but move the administrative conference to 4:30 and have public comments there. And then those meetings typically run about an hour to an hour and a half shorter than this meeting does. So that might be something that we could look at that might help.
Right. My question would be, who is it that want to come that's not coming?
Well, we don't know. I mean,
because I got like Miss Betty Jackson. She's one of my constituents. She been here since 2:30, and so I mean, who is it that we try? I mean, I heard the young lady say it, but she be here. So who is it that's not being heard? So who is it that we trying to reach?
Well, there are people that have reached out that do have certain shift work jobs that they can't get off.
Right.
It's impractical for them to get off and speak. So all I'm saying is, if we're looking at doing this, I agree with y'all on let's keep the regular meeting with the agenda items that we vote on the Tuesday at 3 o'clock. But let's look at possibly doing a venue where people can come and speak on Monday, which will shorten
Can we compromise in a minute?
Yeah, can we?
No, I mean, we're going to move forward, but I'm just saying, if we consider that, let's do it on a temporary basis and see if indeed there's an audience
and
or market.
Then we know. We talk about church a good bit, and I'm going to talk about appraising, because that's what I do for a living. People ask me all the time, well, if so-and-so comes in and puts in a trash dump next to my house, what's the effect of the value of my house? Well, I don't know, because I hadn't tested that yet. I've got to have something to test what that trash dump's going to do to the sales in the area over the year. So that's a great idea, Councilman. I think if we did it and just see, and if we don't, if it's not working out, then we go back the way it was.
And my last comment would be, how do they do it down at the state for the Senate and the legislators? Have they adjusted their time? Because we doing parity.
They don't take public comment.
Then my next one is,
I think they limit the legislators' time too.
Then my next deal would be, how does Bolger do theirs?
All right.
I think we might need a resolution or some legislation to limit, we need like an anti-filibuster or something legislation for this body. Limit us to 3 minutes. That might be helpful.
Mine was well under 3 minutes, Council Lady.
All right. Mr. Deavian Benjamin. Mr. Benjamin. Ms. LaTanya Kemp. Those are all the requests to speak, Mr. Chairman. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Somebody coming? Ms. Kemp?
Yes. Oh, hello.
Yes, ma'am.
I came to address some issues with Mr. Perkins.
State your name and
LaTanya Kemp,
your address.
6353 Crosswind Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana.
Thank you, ma'am.
I came to speak about crime and intervention. Some of you are aware of some of the experiences that I have had. I had meetings here before. My brother was savagely murdered here. And to this day, it'll be a year that he got shot up on Juella this month, a couple days after his birthday. However, a year prior to that, I was right here, standing right here, addressing the issue about the crime. And you know, people coming to the police, we come to y'all, we ask for help, we ask for assistance, and then we can't get nothing. We can't get nothing. So then we feel like we got to take matters into our own hands. You know, if we can't get legal justice, like me, I believe in street justice. Y'all, most of y'all know me, y'all know that. Mr. Perkins, you have had a chance to deal with my daughter, Raquel. Personal experience, very intelligent, 5.0 GPA, 3 kids, all 3 of them top of the school, National Honor Society, military, college. I'm educated. So you sit here and you judge people like me based on my delivery, but you have no clue of my history and my experiences. So you can't receive the message because of the messenger. I acknowledge, I appreciate the gentleman that got up and spoke about intervention, because that's one of our biggest problems. The youth, the kids have nothing to do. They're bored. They're bored. You want to go build a dog park, a fish aquarium, when you could give a baby a Cheerio and a string, and you'll have to fight them to take it out their hand. But you want to spend all this money downtown. Then you don't even want to pay the people for building the aquarium. You know, they bored. You might get something on your record, and then now you have a history. You're failing. So it's jobs that you don't qualify for. People broke, they mad, they tired, they frustrated, they hungry, their bills due, they getting cut off. So they feel like they're back against the wall. And me, I'm gonna come out. See, a lot of us are not being heard. I came to that police station. I came stood right here, and Mr. Breath, I was out of order. I would not call him. My representatives, you people are not, because y'all don't represent people like me. You can't pick and choose who you want to serve. Now, it's been a year. My brother got shot 7 times, and as of yesterday, after one of my legal, my attorneys advised me to speak with you, because I explained my situation. And I have a problem with, when I addressed you, I appreciate that you gave me a chance to have a meeting with
Motion
you.
to extend.
May I please? I didn't come for any kind of confrontation. I just want to be heard.
Motion to extend.
Motion to extend, that's what you need
I'm
to do?
giving you another minute.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. But I never heard back from you. Mr. Raymond, I never heard back. I emailed the detectives yesterday. They blocked me. Now my brother is murdered. Nobody's done anything. And I stopped getting mad a long time ago. I started getting even. A lot of us are not mad enough. You know, the lack of knowledge is death. No one has had the battle, and a lot of us just don't know. Some people just don't care. But I do. I do. I demand justice for my brother. We need better programs for the youth. They can get these budget cell phones. They ain't got nothing to do but sit up and be messy all day on Facebook, get mad and go kill somebody. So, you know, I'm at a point, I'm begging for help. I done begged for help. I'm not asking. I'm not begging anymore. The difference, all lives matter. It's not just black lives. I don't know who came up with it. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. And because it's being repeated, and that's stupid, because we had a chance to think about it before we repeated it. All lives matter. And I'm going to say something, I don't mean any harm. The officer, Payne, was murdered. That was my godbrother that was involved. And I got a problem with somebody said this, but then you have evidence of somebody, and my brother's homicide have yet to be picked up.
Mr. Chairman, as your timekeeper, I note that the speaker's time is expired.
I just want, because see, I'm at the point, it's like I said, it's the anniversary, and I'm at the point to where, like I said, I don't get mad, I get even. I calm down because I saw the mayor doing things, and I saw moves being made. But ain't none being made on my behalf for my brother. I've been his representative. See, when we get up to talk, We got to walk like we talk, and we got to step like we rep, and y'all are not doing that. I can't say him or her, but I know some of the people that I've had experiences in contact with, we're not doing it. Bro, what's the difference? What with the other people? They forget where they come from.
Ms. Kemp, I tell you what.
Come on now, Mr.
Chair,
You know you never got back
you?
with me.
Yeah.
Never got back with me. I just, y'all know my record as long as
Ms. Kemp,
this
Ms.
thing.
Kemp, let me tell you. Now, your time, we gave you extra time to talk.
appreciate
Wait a second. Let me talk. When I tried to contact you again, because we've had several conversations, okay?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to put that on the record. We've had several conversations.
Right.
And when I tried to contact you, you weren't available for me to talk to.
Oh, after they took me to jail?
I didn't want to say it. You said it.
Wait,
one moment. Wait, Ms. Kemp, let me finish. I let you talk. Wait a minute. I let you talk.
Right, you're right.
And then I had the officers to contact you after the fact. Now, what happened? What happened after our chief of police left? I don't know what happened after that. I do not know. But I asked him, and he gave me his word that they would contact you and try to work. I didn't know that.
From that day to this day.
I didn't know that.
I even sent out for you on Facebook and everything else. And that's why I said that day.
Now, I'm going to allow the mayor to speak. I'm going to allow the mayor to speak, and then your time is up, but I'm going to allow the mayor to speak, and then we'll go from there. But if someone will contact you, someone will contact you.
Okay.
Yeah. Ms. Kemp, I reiterate, I'm sure I did in my email, I'm so sorry for your loss. It is our obligation to serve our citizens. I get a lot of emails. I forward them to department heads that can handle it, and our chief of police is sitting right over there. You two can step outside and chat right now, but don't think that it was any kind of neglect or me trying to blow you off or anything. It's my job to help you, and like I said, we're going to do all that we can to help.
In the meeting, I even asked him. I mean, he was on his phone the biggest of the time. I said, I mean, you're not paying attention to me and what I'm talking about? I asked them if I could contact them about update, and I only asked them about an update, but they blocked me. So you're letting me know that my problem is not a concern to you.
Ms. Kemp, someone will contact you.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I understand. I understand. Someone will contact. I understand that you're frustrated. That's why we've allowed you to talk.
But somebody have to make the sacrifice. I don't mind. Y'all know I don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't mind. Somebody got to stand up for something because everybody falling for nothing.
Somebody else.
Oh, and one more thing.
No, Ms. Kemp. That's it. Ms. Kemp, please. Ms. Kemp.
They talked about me so bad, they still kept running live and laughed and everything after I cried out for help. It was funny that I even came and addressed the issue.
No, Ms. Kemp, it's not funny. It's not funny.
Okay. That's fine. I'm used to it. That's fine. I'm just saying sometimes, misunderstanding, right?
We have no executive appointments to be considered today, and there are no items on the consent agenda for introduction to be adopted. Mr. Thompson, can you please proceed on resolutions on second reading and final passage?
The first resolution is 81. It authorizes the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the city of Shreveport and participating high schools through their governing bodies relative to the Battle on the Border 2019 High School Football Showcase and the use of city personnel, property, and equipment, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
So moved.
There's
one amendment.
There's one amendment.
Yes,
the amendment requires a fully executed contract to be on file before the city expends any funds and/or resources or performs any part of the agreement.
So move on the
second.
Let me get some clarification for. On yesterday, Ms. Regal said that we don't use city funds, that she raised the money. So how does this amendment?
If there are no city funds or resources, no personnel, no anything like that, it wouldn't apply. But if you do have some of that.
Okay. So move on the amendment.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion on the amendment to Resolution 81.
I think it was
Greg I made the motion.
And Willie Bradford made that.
Yeah.
Motion carries with 6. One
So
out of chamber.
move on the ordinance as amended.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries with 6, 1 out of chamber.
Resolution 82 authorizes the mayor to execute an intergovernmental agreement between the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office to jointly purchase, own, and maintain the public safety logging recorder system and to otherwise provide
So moved.
respect thereto.
Second.
No discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 6.
Resolutions 83 and 84 have been adopted. Resolution 85 authorizes the mayor to dedicate the 6600 block of West Canal Boulevard between Despot Road and Amherst Street to Benjamin Joseph Finley Jr.
So moved.
Second. Huh? Okay.
Motion carries with 6.
Yesterday, there was discussion about Resolution 86 being postponed.
Motion to postpone?
Second.
Motion carries with 6.
Resolution 87 supports a submission to the Red River Waterway Commission for funding to renovate and update the Shreveport Downtown Municipal Airport.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion carries with 6.
Resolution 88 authorizes the Audit and Finance Committee to investigate the Finance Department as authorized by Section 4.29 of the Charter of the City.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's no discussion, please vote.
Yeah, let me,
Councilman Bradford.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to, I thought we discussed this yesterday. It would be more of a process within this. We're gonna handle it in-house as far as we can take it.
Yeah, Mr. Bradford, my intention is to handle this in-house as far as we can take it, see what other work the administration does on these issues, and then circle back with the rest of the council before we retain any outside resources to do this. That's my intention.
Good. I mean, again, if it's in our authority, I think we should execute within what's in our authority.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So do we vote for this? Are you saying we
No,
need?
the motion been made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we wait for the.
Ms. Jones speak already?
Say it again.
We need the motion and the second for the record, so if you.
Oh, we ain't talking long enough, loud enough.
It was Flurry, then Fuller.
Yes, sir, we hear
It
you.
was Flurry, then Fuller.
Okay, 1 second. Let the CAO speak, and then we'll go with that on the vote.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I state again that, if this passes, the administration intends to fully comply with this. This is something that we take seriously as well. But also I want to, also just let people know that, the audit is not complete. The findings that was provided to the council and to the administrations are draft findings. And the actual findings, some of these, including the ones that are listed in the resolution, may not actually be actual findings. But all of those that we did review, that I've been spending hours with staff with, and we are going to be working with the Government Finance Officers Association to do our own legwork, which we have already started that conversation with them long before these audit findings came out. We will continue to do that. And staff is prepared to absorb whatever is necessary for us to, meet the requirements of the internal audit, to answer their questions, as well as GFOA to answer their questions.
Okay.
Call for the vote.
It was motion by Councilman Fleury and second by Councilwoman Fuller. If there's no discussion, please vote.
My finger is froze only because it appears that the administration is thinking this is premature. Is that what you said? You think this is premature?
I will, as I mentioned yesterday, even the 3 findings that are listed here, and staff has not been able to respond to these yet. And I think that clarification of the way that our policies work, as well as the research that the finance department is doing right now, especially for this regarding the collateralization of our assets, the research that they are doing is finding that some of those assets weren't actually collateralized. So we still have not finished our own legwork to be able to respond to the list of the findings that were drafted, and we're working on that. The audit, again, like I said, is not complete. We're trying to make sure that the staff is all hands on deck to be able to get it done.
Working in conjunction with the audit committee is not feasible?
We will cooperate. Like I said, we do want the best for what's for the finance department for the city. And I did have some concerns about the burdensome, workload that this would cause, as well as with the regular work that staff is doing already from day to day, as well as the work that they will be doing with GFOA in their own questioning and investigations. So this will be something else that we would have to be able to absorb in our workload. That is a concern, but like I said, if it passes, we will cooperate.
There is no timeline, gentlemen, in this part. There's no timeline. This is an investigation. It may go into months. I don't know. But it is simply an investigation, and we will try to accommodate the administration.
Councilman Jefferson.
I will just offer that if all is well, then this investigation will be brief. But we do know, despite the fact that the audit is in draft, that the City of Shreveport failed to file payroll tax forms for the state government and thereby incurred penalties of $189,000. If that were the only finding of the external auditor, that alone, in my view, would be sufficient to justify an investigation. And so I do hope that my colleagues will support this with confidence that the Audit and Finance Committee will not impose any more burden on the administration or staff than is necessary to discharge our
Mr. Chairman.
I got Councilman Green and then Councilman Bradford. If you want to yield.
I'm not on. I'll yield to you.
Okay, Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a substitute motion. Our substitute motion is that we would table this until the audit is complete.
Second.
And so if we want, Mr. Chairman, if we want the investigation to proceed, then we will vote no on the motion to table.
Reiterate the vote for me, please.
I'm sorry.
Can you reiterate the vote for me, please, so everyone understands?
The motion is to table until the audit is complete. Right.
So if you want to extend it, if you don't want the investigation, you vote yes. If you want the investigation, you vote no.
If you don't want the investigation now,
then
you vote yes.
Yes.
So we vote no to proceed with the investigation now on this motion.
On Willie's motion.
We vote no on Willie's motion. Mr. Councilman Bradford's motion, if that is already taken.
Mr. Chair, no, I'll speak.
Councilman Green.
I'm for whatever, but at this point in time, as they've said, they have not finished. So one, I would be voting with him to table this until they say they're finished, whereas if once they finish, if in fact this doesn't come up to the level that we want it, then we would do what we need to do. I hadn't voted. I hadn't
No,
voted.
she cleared it out. You clearing it out, right? Okay.
So what? She had to clear the vote, so you'll need to vote again.
So this is on the substitute motion?
Right.
Councilman Bradford's motion.
Yes.
Councilman Bradford.
The motion fails 4-3.
Motion fails.
So the original motion,
So the vote again?
4-3. Motion failed.
I need to see that.
It was Bradford. They voted yes.
Bradford. Green. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just one last request from the administration. Mr. Councilman Fleury just mentioned that there is no timeline on this. Is it possible that we can resume it if this does pass, if the investigation can begin after the audit is complete, and then after those findings have become final and we know exactly which items are going to need to be addressed?
If I may, Mr. Fleury. Ms. Jones, it appears that this motion will pass. The investigation will be authorized. The committee will have a discussion with you promptly about the timeline. Some aspects of the investigation may well be appropriately delayed, but there are some questions that I would like answered immediately, such as why we incurred $325,000 of tax penalties. Those are conversations that we can have with staff in short order, and so be assured again that I don't intend to impose, and the committee does not intend to impose any greater burden on the administration than is necessary. But I've sat here and listened to Councilman Fleury talk about $1 million check that wasn't deposited for a year. And then I talked to the external auditor, and he tells me we're not filing our payroll taxes on time and incurring hundreds of thousands of dollars of penalties. I just don't think this can wait. It has nothing to do with what the current administration has done, but I think we need to move forward. Thank you. Call for the vote.
It was, well, I need a motion.
the vote is to adopt the resolution.
To adopt the resolution.
Right.
And
Adopt the resolution.
moved by Councilman Fleury and second by Councilman Fuller. Councilwoman Fuller, I'm sorry. Please vote. Four, three.
Mr. Chairman, Resolution 89 has been adopted. We're now in the introduction of resolutions. We only have one. Resolution 90 authorizes the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Caddo Parish 911 Communications District and the city.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Chairman, we are now under introduction of ordinances. We have several. Ordinance 83 amends the 2019 Street Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 84 amends the 2019 General Fund budget. Ordinance 85 places a moratorium on the issuance of any occupational licenses and certificates of occupancy for payday agencies, title loan agencies, and pawn shops, other than renewals, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. And there was one that was added. It's an ordinance amending the 2019 capital improvements budget.
Move for introduction.
Moved by Councilman Bradford. Second by Councilman Green.
Mr. Chairman, now that those have been introduced, we do have an amendment to number 1 by Mr. Fleury. The amendment to number 1, it changes the title and removes, this is on 85, it changes the title to remove pawn shops, and it also removes pawn shops from the body of the ordinance. Mr. Fleury indicated to the staff that he wanted to have this amendment at the next meeting. We told him that if it's at the next meeting, because the title changes, then it means it could not be adopted, the ordinance could not be adopted at that meeting. If the council wants to take this up now and adopts the amendment, then the new amendment will be in the minutes and will be advertised, and the ordinance 85 can be adopted at the next meeting as it is in the amendment.
So would that be a motion to amend?
Yes.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Fuller and second by Councilman Butcher to amend. No, if there's no other discussion, please vote.
What are we amending?
We're taking pawn shops out of ordinance 85 if the amendment is adopted.
But the amendment won't be, this won't happen until the 23rd, right?
You'll get a chance to vote on it on the 23rd.
Motion carries with 7.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the ordinances on second reading and final passage. The first is 73. It amends the 2019 capital improvements budget.
So move.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Bradford and second by Councilman Green.
This is a Sportran amendment.
Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance 74 amends the 2019 budget funding contractual services provided to Sportran. This is a companion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilwoman Fuller. Number 74. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance 75 amends the 2019 capital improvements budget. This concerns the fire station.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Butcher and second by the chair. Please vote. Motion carries with 7. Mr. Thompson.
Amendment 76 amends the 2019 budget for the general fund. This is a $75,000. If it's adopted, that will be moved to the general fund operating reserve.
So moved.
Second.
This is from the crossing guard?
That's correct.
Yes, Ms. Fuller. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance 77 amends Section 10-186 of the Code of Ordinances. There is one amendment. This amendment changes the digital camera system requirements from 4K to 1080p high definition in Section 10-186. This amendment changes the digital camera system requirement to only apply to bars, package stores, and businesses which sell alcohol for off-premise consumption in Section 10-186C. This amendment eliminates the alcohol beverage ordinance employee card requirement for security guards in Section 10-186B. And this amendment changes the applicability of the security guard requirement from the City of Shreveport to D1 Downtown Zoning District in Section 10-186A.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Nicholson.
Briefly, Mr. Chairman and colleagues, this amendment makes the changes to the camera ordinance that we have discussed in the past 2 weeks. There was concern expressed by a number of businesses that requiring 4K resolution cameras would be too expensive, and those cameras are in fact more expensive than the HD 1080p cameras. There was also concern expressed that restaurants should not be required to have these camera systems, and as an accommodation to our colleagues and to garner the votes, as we all must on every piece of legislation, I've made that change as well. The elimination of the ABO card requirement for security guards was suggested by the city attorney's office, because that is not something that the city regulates any longer. It's a matter that the state handles. And then finally, the change in the security guard requirement removes City of Shreveport, which would have expanded the security guard requirement, and takes it back just to the downtown area, which is the present state of the law. And so with that explanation, I will move for adoption of the amendment.
Councilwoman Fuller.
I just want to thank the councilman for flexibility, because I did protest this quite a bit, but I appreciate your flexibility on making those adjustments. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no other discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 7.
The motion to adopt.
On the ordinance as amended.
Been moved by Councilman Nicholson and second by the chair. Please vote. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance 78 amends Section 26-220, an affidavit attesting that city contract was not secured through employment or payment of solicitor to Chapter 26 Finance, Article 6, Contracts, Division 1, generally of the city of Shreveport.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, this also is my legislation. Councilman Green has expressed some concern about this ordinance and requested that we postpone it for 2 weeks. I do hope that ultimately the council will adopt this legislation, which will require every business or entity contracting with the city to sign an affidavit confirming that they have not procured the city's business in an illegitimate way. But out of courtesy to my colleague, I'd like to move to postpone this legislation.
Been moved by Councilman Nicholson to postpone and second by Councilman Green. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance 76 authorizes the mayor to execute a lease agreement with the United States Department of the Interior Fish and Wildlife Services to manage, operate, and use C. Bickham-Dixon Park to provide services to the public and
So moved.
otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Second?
It's been moved by Councilman Butcher and seconded by Councilman Bradford. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 7. Mr. Thompson.
Ordinance number 80 amends section 10-84 of chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances relative to physical separation of sales of high alcoholic content liquor for consumption off the premises. There is one amendment. It retains the physical separation requirement for alcoholic beverages of high alcohol content as originally proposed in Ordinance 80, only for businesses where the place of business allows persons under the age of 21 on the premises. If the business does not allow people who are 21 years or younger on the premise, they can sell alcohol and other items in that space.
Councilman Butcher.
I'm going to move to postpone this. There's several things, and we've got a lot of feedback on this, and I want us to kind of dig a little bit deeper into this, so I'm going to move to postpone.
Second?
Been moved by Councilman Butcher and seconded by Councilman Bradford to postpone.
The postponement is on the ordinance, is that correct?
Right, on the ordinance, yes.
If there is no other discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 7.
The next is Ordinance 81. It amends various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code.
The attorney wants to speak, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, just as a reminder, this was the ordinance that I informed you guys on the last meeting that I had some concerns with from a legality standpoint, specifically dealing with the section that deals with billboards. I believe it's a violation of our UDC, specifically Article 16, subsection 16.1, with regard to modifications that would basically favor smaller or a small number of businesses versus the entirety of the whole. We are prepared with an amendment, if necessary. Danielle prepared an amendment that would eliminate that portion of the ordinance as it is written, and that would, in my opinion, cure the defect. I know Mr. Clark is here. He may have some information to share, but that is my recommendation.
But to amend it, we need to postpone it. Is that Mr. Clerk?
Well, the amendment has been prepared. It's just whether or not the council is comfortable in doing it.
And I had Mr. Clark to come up and to clarify. Mr. Clark.
We do not totally agree with the opinion of the city attorney, and I've shared this with the city attorney. We went through quite an exhausted process, and we have the representatives from the billboard industry here, representatives from 3 other billboard industries here, that we worked on this amendment for about 6 months, trying to come up with a solution to a problem that occurred as a result of the Unified Development Code going live. What happened with that was
it left two billboard companies with permits that were obtained under the previous ordinance that would have allowed them to move these permits to another location. And once the UDC was adopted, we had two separate interpretations. One interpretation was that it could be used to move permits from one location to another, and the other one was that nothing could happen without the demolition and the application for new permits. Possibly because we're in conflict with each other, I would appeal to the council to possibly defer until we could come to a reasonable solution to this problem.
Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, as Mr. Clark has suggested, in light of the city attorney's comments, I'm going to postpone.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Nicholson and second by Councilman Bradford to postpone. There's no other discussion.
May I?
Councilwoman
Thank you,
Fuller.
Chair. I will say that I do trust the expertise of Mr. Clark on this, but since everyone needs to be brought up to speed on it, I think that we should go ahead. But I do think that he's kind of on the right road on this one.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Bradford.
so are you familiar with the amendment that the city attorney had prepared? I'm aware that the city attorney was in conflict with my opinion, and she and I discussed it.
But you haven't reviewed her amendment.
No, we get
so
no
that gives us even
correspondence.
more reason to postpone.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Please vote. Motion carries. with
Thank
seven.
you.
Mr. Clark, don't leave.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
The next one's going to be yours too. So.
Ordinance 82 is a zoning matter, C-24-19. It rezones property located on the southwest corner of East 70th Street and East Burt Coons Industrial Loop from R17 Single Family Residential District to C2 Corridor Commercial District.
Mr. Chairman?
I got Councilman Butcher.
Mr. Clark, this was sent back to the MPC because
Yes, sir.
the applicant decided to go from C3 to C2.
Yes, sir.
Correct, and the MPC voted unanimously to
recommend C2.
recommend it. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? So moved to accept.
Second.
What they putting there? What they doing there?
She's putting a little.
Been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by several people. Councilwoman Fuller. If there's no other discussion, please vote.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
And that motion carries with seven.
Those are all of the items on the regular agenda. I'm not aware of any item to be removed from the consent agenda.
Okay. And we have no, we have probably did this, no property standards appeal, no other, any reports from officers, boards, or committees? No? Mr. Thompson, are there a clerk's report?
Yes, sir. We have a public notice that I need to read into the record. Public notice of intent to call an election. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Section 19.1 of Title 42 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950. As amended, the mayor and the city council of the city of Shreveport, state of Louisiana, the city, acting as the governing authority of the city at its regularly scheduled meeting on August the 13th, 2019, at its regular meeting place, Government Chambers of Government Plaza, 505 Travis Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, at 3 p.m., will discuss and consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling an election on November the 16th, 2019, to authorize not to exceed $220 million general obligation bonds in one or more series for the purposes of constructing, acquiring, equipping and/or improving public works of the city, including 1, the water and sewer system, 2, facilities, land, and/or equipment for parks and recreation, public buildings, police department, fire department, and economic development, and 3, streets, highways, bridges, drainage systems, utility conduits, and appurtenances thereto. What is that word? and upon approval by the qualified voters therein, for such tax to be levied thereafter.
That's the end of the
That's it,
report?
yes.
All right, Mayor Perkins, did you have any additional communications, sir?
I have no correspondence, Mr. Chairman.
Does any council member have any additional communications at this time?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Bradford.
I yield to the
If you're
council.
going to yield to the council later.
Councilman Bradford, what does a home run have and a cake have in common?
I have no idea.
They depend on the batters. That was for Sammy.
It's a baseball game.
It was my take on it, so you won't call me a copycat.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two observations. I want to invite you, those who will be available tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We are happy, and I think Ms. Moore is she out there? She's aware that, and the mayor is also aware that tomorrow at 4 o'clock we will have the ribbon cutting and grand opening of our Martin Luther King CDC. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, office building in the heart of the MLK area. So there are some good things happening in MLK. And again, I would like to invite you out to that event. And also, I'd like to congratulate our distinguished mayor. I don't know how he pulled this off, but the mayor went off to a mayor's conference and ended up with a leadership position. Mayor, tell us, what is that position?
Thank you, Councilman. So I'm the Vice Chair for Communications in the U.S. Conference of Mayors Transportation and Communication Committee. It's the largest committee in the U.S. Conference. The U.S. Conference of Mayors consists of 1,400 municipalities across the country. So whenever telecom companies or any companies that's dealing in communications wants to correspond with mayors throughout the country or the public sector, often they'll communicate through me. So it's a pretty prestigious position, and I'm humbled by getting it, and I plan on leveraging it as best as possible for the city of Shreveport. So thank you, Council.
Man, we're proud of you. We thank you for representing us in a fashion that they will see the good that Shreveport mayor could be in such a high-profile position. Congratulations. Let's give him a hand on that, y'all.
Anything else, Councilman Bradford?
No, sir. I think the
No, I had Councilman Nicholson next.
Louisiana Black Caucus is meeting. I'm going to try to hit there. They seem to have some agenda items that I think is interest to our community. So I'll go there. Thank you.
Chairman,
All right.
we do have an executive
We have an
session.
executive session afterwards, Councilman Bradford. We want to make sure you
can't go
was aware,
nowhere.
so you can't go nowhere no time soon. Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to note once more that the city's actuary for our employee retirement system was scheduled to be here today. I understand from Ms. Jones that they were not able to appear today, but she's going to work to reschedule them. I just want to emphasize for members of the council how important I think it is, and I know you all share my opinion on this point, that we focus very carefully on the dire condition of the pension system. If we don't do that, then a day will come when we cannot keep the promises that we have made to our employees. So I appreciate Ms. Jones scheduling a meeting with Milliman, and I look forward to receiving their presentation when they're available. Thank you.
We will make sure that they're rescheduled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones, was that it?
That was it. Yes, sir.
All right. I thought Councilwoman Fuller had something, but it seems it does not.
She had a-
That was my joke.
Okay, I thought they had something else. I'm
What do you
sorry.
call the guy who lost his nose?
What do you call a nose that's not attached to a body?
Oh,
Nobody knows.
We have a request from the city attorney to go into executive session to discuss the following, and that's the Haven
so move.
property.
Did you vote? It's hot here.
We need to vote.
It is. It's going to be cool in that room.
We need to vote. We need to
Did I
vote.
push? Did you vote?
Sorry.
Motion carries 6 and 1 out.